Chapter 482. A moment later, a blue firework bloomed in the sky above the third forbidden area. When the people of the innumerable green palace saw the firework, they all went to report to their palace masters. Colorful fireworks are rising above the third forbidden area? Although the various palace masters had doubts in their hearts, as long as they were not in seclusion, they all rushed towards the third forbidden land. The blue fireworks were the signal to summon all the palace masters. The palace masters rushed to the third forbidden area and saw that the vice palace master had already arrived, together with Lian Zhe and Xia Zhong. Opposite them, a few strangers were in the third forbidden area. All the palace masters were enraged and scolded, "Who dares to trespass into the forbidden area?" "Alright, all the hall masters who can make it have arrived," Lian Zhe said. "Lian Zhe, what's going on?" the vice palace master asked. "What are you doing here?" Replying to vice palace master, Xia Zhong wanted to frame Yue and the others. He got people to bring them into the forbidden grounds and wanted to let the vicious beasts kill them. If they were lucky enough to survive, he would also let the innumerable green palace punish them for trespassing into the forbidden grounds. Lian Zhe said. The vice palace master looked at Xia Zhong and said, "Is that so?" "Vice palace master, this morning, I had Xiao Qiao's servant girl take my command tablet to do something, but she had yet to return, so I followed the aura of the command tablet to find this place. I didn't expect to see them holding my maidservant hostage the moment I arrived. They had already entered the forbidden area." Xia Zhong argued. This was the excuse that Wu Qiao had given him a long time ago to deal with this kind of situation. The deputy palace master looked at Sima Yue and the others. Was one of them the contracted master of the King of Rocks? "What do you think?" he asked, looking at them. Of course they would say the same thing as Palace Master Lian. They are on the same side after all, Xia Zhong said. Some of the later hall masters agreed with Lian Zhe while some believed in Xia Zhong. Their attitudes towards Sima Yue were completely different. "Vice Palace Master, before I answer your question, let me ask you something. If the truth is as Palace Master Lian said, what will Palace Master Xia do? If what Palace Master Xia said is true, what will happen to us?" Sima Yue asked. "Half an hour ago, Lian Zhe found this place. Then, when Xia Zhong was not paying attention, she entered the forbidden area and restored her appearance. Bei Gong Tang also stood up and walked back. Only then did Xia Zhong realize that the person on the ground was Wu Qiao's servant girl. After that, she requested for Lian Zhe to gather everyone from the innumerable green palace. After that, she didn't speak again. The vice palace master said without hesitation, "If what Palace Master Lian said is true, then Palace Master Xia framed a guest and is no longer suitable to be a palace master. If what Palace Master Xia has said is true, you will be punished by the innumerable green palace. The specific punishment will have to be discussed." Sima Yue nodded and said, "Since everyone is here, I'm sure the innumerable green palace will not be biased. Bei Gong, you do it." Bei Gong Tang took out a sound stone and inserted her spiritual power into it. Everything that Xia Zhong had just said to them was clearly recorded. The vice palace master's face turned darker and darker while Xia Zhong's face turned paler and paler. "Vice palace master, I think that in front of the evidence, we don't need to say anything more, right?" Sima Yue said. "Little Rock, tell me. Do you think we should make a big deal out of this?" Little Rock appeared in front of everyone. Although nobody had seen the golden-winged rock before, they had all heard of it. "She is the golden-winged rock's contracted master? The bird clan's internal strife has already ended. All the bird clans are under the golden-winged rock's rule. If they launch an attack on us, wouldn't we be in danger? How did Xia Zhong provoke such a person?" Little Rock transformed into his human form and stood beside Sima Yue, coldly looking at the people from the innumerable green palace. "You dare to touch this king's contracted master. The innumerable green palace is really something. If you don't give us a satisfactory explanation today, this king doesn't mind breaking the agreement between the human clan and the beast clan and having all the bird clans come out in full force. Otherwise, everyone will think that this king's contracted master is easy to bully." Little Rock spoke very seriously. He wasn't just putting on an act. Although he knew that Sima Yue didn't want to borrow the strength of the bird clan, he didn't want her to suffer any grievances. An old man with a white beard flew over and landed in front of everyone. It was Qing Yuan. "Greetings to the palace master." Everyone bowed towards Qing Yuan. Xia Zhong framed an esteemed guest and disregarded a life because of a small matter. His character has already changed and he is no longer suitable to be the palace master of the Red River Palace. Qing Yuan said, Today he will be stripped of his position as palace master and thrown into jail. He will be punished another day. The palace masters didn't think that he would really be dismissed just like that. They were all stunned. Qing Yuan looked at Sima Yue and asked, "Are you satisfied with this?" Sima Yue didn't think that this kind-looking old man would be the palace master of the innumerable green palace. She raised her eyebrows and said, "How Xiaozhong is treated is your innumerable green palace's internal affairs. However, to me, I came to your innumerable green palace as a guest and almost lost my life. We will make it up to you." Qing Yuan's beard trembled. "Since that's the case, then take out your compensation first. If Little Rock isn't satisfied, then I can't do anything about it." Sima Yue spread out her hands as if it had nothing to do with her. "Naturally, you will be satisfied with the compensation." Qing Yuan said, "However, if you continue to stay here, the ferocious beasts inside will come out and you will be in danger." Sima Yue thought about it. After all, this was other people's territory. If they went overboard, they might lose more than they gained. After all, the innumerable green palace was a great sect. If they really fought, they might not be able to come out unscathed. "All right then, I'll believe you this time." After speaking, she took Xiaozhong's token and let everyone out. "Then let's go to the main hall and discuss the compensation," Qing Yuan said. Sima Yue smiled and said, "Palace Master Lien and I can be considered friends. How can I really ask you to compensate us? We also suffered quite a bit of shock today. If there's nothing else, we want to go back and rest." Qing Yuan's beard trembled again. This guy was actually using this trick again. He was retreating in order to advance. Although he said that there was no need to discuss it, they did not dare to be negligent. They had to give more compensation. If they were not satisfied with it, wouldn't they find trouble with the innumerable green palace? Little fox. Not long after Sima Yue and the others returned to the Soaring Cloud Palace, the Vice Palace Master personally came over with the compensation. He said a bunch of good words and then gave her an interspatial ring. Sima Yue did not look at the things inside. She waited until the Vice Palace Master left before she sent a strand of divine sense into it. When she saw the things inside, she smiled satisfactorily and then gave the interspatial ring to Bei Gong Tang and the others. When they saw the things inside, they smiled as well. On the second day, Lien Zhe came over and said that the teleportation array was ready. Sima Yue and the others decided to leave immediately. Zhou Xiaotian said that he wanted to go with them, but was rejected by Yue. If they went there, they would definitely call the others out. If they saw Fatty Chu and the others, the matter of the Spirit Pagoda would be exposed. Thus, under Zhou Xiaotian's resentful gaze, they stepped onto the teleportation array to the central region. Chapter 483. Autumn Moon City was a city in the central region that wasn't particularly large, but its status in the central region wasn't low. This was because there were two alchemy clans here, one in the south and one in the north. The two clans had produced many geniuses, and their relationship had been very good in the past. However, in recent years their relationship had taken a turn for the worse, and there was a tendency for them to fight to the death. The family in the south of the city was surnamed Beigong, while the family in the north of the city was surnamed Yin. In terms of strength, the Yin clan was higher than the Beigong clan because they had a secret technique that could raise the grade of pills. When it came to pills of the same grade, the Yin clan's effect was slightly better than the Beigong clan's. The current head of the Beigong clan was called Beigong Xiong. He could be considered Beigong Tang's great-grandfather, and her father Beigong Ao's grandfather. The Beigong clan had always been very interested in the Yin clan's secret technique, but the Yin clan kept it a secret and never spread it out. Even if they watched them refine pills, they couldn't tell what was different. Thus, for more than 20 years they schemed to make Beigong Tang's mother Yin Lan fall in love with Beigong Ao. She disregarded her family's objections and married him. Within a few years she gave birth to Beigong Tang and her younger brother, Beigong Hang. But even so, Yin Lan didn't reveal the Yin clan's secret technique. Beigong Ao originally did not like Yin Lan, but he liked Gu Yun Er, the daughter of the Earth Palace's palace master. The two of them were in love with each other and had reached the point of marriage. However, because Yin Lan's status in the Yin family wasn't low, he couldn't have other women before marrying her, so he never married Gu Yun Er. After a few years, Beigong Ao's patience ran out. After an argument, he turned around and married Gu Xun. At the end of the year they had a daughter, Beigong Er. The Earth Palace was the largest sect in Autumn Moon City, and Gu Yun Er was the daughter of the palace master. Naturally, her status in the Beigong clan was different. In addition, Beigong Yi's talent in alchemy was not bad, so the Beigong clan treated her like a treasure. Gu Yunair was originally very unhappy about Beigong Ao marrying Yin Lan, so she squeezed out her position as the main wife and even abused the three of them. Towards this, the members of the Beigong clan all turned a blind eye. Because they were unable to obtain the Yin clan's secret technique, the difference in status between Yin Lan and Gu Yunair was like the difference between heaven and earth. On the other hand, Yin Lan did not receive the support of her family when she married into the Beigong family. Therefore, even if she was wronged by the Beigong family, she would not complain to the family. Who would have thought that Gu Yunair's mistreatment of them would escalate to house arrest? It was also to prevent them from notifying the Yin family and causing trouble for the Beigong family. This Yin family was also a big clan. If they really caused trouble, it wouldn't be easy to settle it. Afterwards, Beigong Tang escaped with the help of her uncle. Afterwards, she escaped to the Yilin continent with the help of Meng Ji. Meng Ji also fell into a deep sleep. Speaking of her own uncle, Beigong Tang's tone was the most gentle. He was the only one who treated her and her mother well. Meng Ji was secretly given to her by him. However, when she thought about how he had gotten injured in order to help her escape, she wondered how he was doing now. In an inn in Autumn Moon City, everyone came out. After hearing Beigong Tang's story, everyone felt sorry for her. In the past, I lived in the backyard of the Beigong family. We were guarded day and night, so my knowledge of the outside world was limited to Beigong Ao and the others. At that time, I didn't even go to the front yard of the Beigong family. Furthermore, because others were at least spirit overlords when they were born, and I was only a spirit knight, I was always treated like trash. You were just born at a lower level than others, but your talent is really good. I dare to believe that you are definitely more powerful than that Beigong heir. Fatty Chu said. All this time, Beigong Tang didn't talk much about her past. Although they knew that she had escaped, they didn't know that she had lived such a miserable life. You've already left for more than 10 years. We don't know what the situation is like here either. You should stay here. We'll go out and gather some information. We'll tell you when we come back. Wei Ziqi said. Beigong, have you thought of looking for the Yin family? Sima Yu asked. Beigong Tang shook her head, saying, the Yin family and the Beigong family are in the same city. Even if the Beigong family intentionally hid information about us, the Yin family would be able to find out as long as they wanted to. However, they didn't. This means that they no longer treat us as family. At that time, Mother didn't ask the Yin family for help, so I naturally wouldn't acknowledge them. What if they were like the Lien family back then and the news was intercepted? Sima Yulu asked. Beigong Tang was stunned. She had never thought of this possibility. In her mind, she hated the Yin family. She had never thought of this possibility. Lien Hong's situation is different from mine. His father was chased out of the family and he lived far away. However, the Yin family and Beigong family are in the same city. As long as they have the heart, how could this happen? Everyone thought about it. What she said made sense, so they didn't say anything else. Sang Muyu stepped forward and hugged Beigong Tang, saying, you're a good child. Your mother and younger brother are definitely alive, waiting for you to come back and save them. Auntie, I'll have to trouble you to stay here and accompany Beigong. We'll split up and gather some information about the Beigong family. Sima Yu said, Little Two, stay here and accompany Beigong. Okay, go ahead. Sang Muyu said. Little Two nodded seriously, saying, Big brother, don't worry. I will protect big sister Beigong. Okay, then let's go out. Sima Yu said to everyone. After leaving the inn, everyone split up and went to different places to inquire for information. Because the Beigong family, the Yin family, and the Earth Palace were the three leaders here, their affairs had always been talked about enthusiastically. It was not difficult to get information about them. Of course, some information would be treated as forbidden areas. Everyone would keep such information a secret. Yin Lan and Beigong Tang belonged to this category. Many people stopped talking when they heard Yin Lan and the others' names. After going out for a round, everyone didn't get any substantial information. Sima Yu released a few hundred scarlet bees and let them disguise themselves as normal bees. They went to different places to gather information. Most of them went to the three big powers. At night, Sima Yu was talking to Beigong Tang. Suddenly, her body trembled. Her eyes flashed with disbelief. After a moment of silence, she looked at Beigong Tang sadly. Did something happen to my mother and the others? Beigong Tang looked at Sima Yu's expression and her heart sank. Sima Yu didn't know how to say it. It was as if she didn't even have the courage to speak at this moment. You just say it. I can take it. Although Beigong Tang said this, the hand holding the cup was trembling. Beigong Yu, your uncle died after saving you that year. Your mother and brother? also died a few years ago. Bei Gongtang's face was ashen. She didn't even feel the tea in the cup that she had just poured into her wound. Sima Yu looked at Bei Gongtang's expression and said anxiously, Bei Gong, this is only the information that we got from the Yin family. Maybe this is information that the Bei Gong family deliberately released. Chapter 484. Bei Gongtang grabbed onto Sima Yu's hand as tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. Is what you said true? My mother and the others are still alive? Sima Yu looked at her and didn't know how to answer her. Bei Gong Yue said that the news came from the Yin family. Perhaps the Bei Gong family released it on purpose. We should wait for the news from the other two sides before coming to a conclusion. Wei Ziqi said. If the other two families had other discoveries, then they might still be alive. If the other two parties were also like this, it meant that this news should be true. Then Bei Gongtang would have so much time to prepare herself. Sima Yue then called out close to 1,000 scarlet bees and asked them to gather more information, especially if there was anything unusual about the Bei Gong family. These scarlet bees all understood her feelings. They were very attentive and diligent in their investigation. They were also very diligent, looking carefully to see if there was anything special about the Bei Gong clan. Unexpectedly, in the end they really did discover some clues. Bei Gong, did you guys used to live in a dilapidated courtyard near the back of the mountain? There was a plum blossom tree to the right of the courtyard, right? Sima Yue asked. Bei Gongtang looked at her. Did you find my mother and younger brother? Don't worry, they didn't notice your mother and the rest. Sima Yue said, but they said that there's something strange about the courtyard. What's wrong? Bei Gongtang did not understand. That courtyard is very simple. Other than 3 rooms and a courtyard, there's nothing else. The scarlet bees said that there was no one living in that courtyard, but there was a medicinal fragrance floating in the air. Medicinal fragrance? Bei Gongtang was stunned. In the past, Bei Gongao always forced my mother to refine pills, so our courtyard was always filled with the fragrance of medicine. However, the news that the Yin family received was that your mother had already died a few years ago. Then how could there still be a medicinal fragrance? Sima Yu said. You're saying that my mother is still alive? Bei Gongtang looked at her hopefully. I can only say that it's possible. Sima Yu said, I'll ask them to investigate further. Let's wait for 2 days and see. All right. Bei Gongtang clasped her hands together, showing how nervous she was. Sima Yue reached out and held her hands. If something really happened to your mother, we will definitely make the Bei Gong family and the Earth Palace pay the price. Even if I have to borrow Little Rock's or Divine Devil Valley's power, I will turn them upside down. Yes, Yue is right. Fatty Chu chimed in from the side. No matter what happens, we will always be by your side. Thank you. Bei Gongtang looked at her and forced a smile. She wanted to tell everyone that she was fine and that there was no need to worry. After waiting anxiously for 2 days, good news finally came. Yin Lan and Bei Gonghang were most likely still alive, but they might have been completely imprisoned. Hearing this news, Bei Gongtang was both happy and worried. She was happy that her mother and younger brother could still be alive, but she was worried about the few years she was not around. What exactly did they experience? Why did the Bei Gong clan tell the Yin clan that they were already dead? After a few days, the news was thoroughly investigated. Yin Lan and Bei Gonghang were still alive, but they were imprisoned in the small courtyard's dungeon. Bei Gongtang did not know when the courtyard had a dungeon, but she was still very happy to know that her mother and younger brother were still alive. Then why did the Bei Gong clan say that my mother and the rest are already dead? This news just came from the Yin clan. They said that a few years ago your uncle came back. He knew that your mother married into the Bei Gong clan, so he went to the Bei Gong clan and said that he wanted to see your mother. The Bei Gong clan did not get the Yin clan's secret method. If your uncle knew about your mother and the rest, it would definitely cause trouble. So he told them that you were already dead. Sima Yue said. I did hear my mother mention it before. She said that she had a good relationship with an uncle and he was very talented. He had already left home for many years. She said that he was taken away by a power in the central regions. Bei Gongtang said. Now we have to think of a way to save your mother and younger brother. Fatty Chu said. But if we just go up and ask for them, the Bei Gong clan will definitely deny it. Ouyang Fei said. We have to find them first so that the Bei Gong clan has no way to deny it. Sima Yulin said. We really have to find them first. However, the Bei Gong clan's security is very tight. That courtyard looks like there's no one outside, and it's an abandoned courtyard. However, there are many guards secretly watching it. Sima Yue told them the news that the Scarlet Bees sent. I'll get the Scarlet Bees to find the exact location first. Okay. Another day passed. The Scarlet Queen Bee said that there was no way to find out the exact situation in the basement, because there was a barrier they could not enter. This is troublesome. Sima Yuming said. If they could not find them, they would have no way to ask the Beigong clan for them. We can only enter the Beigong clan to find them. Sima Yue said. But you said it yourself. There are many people secretly watching that place. Even if we go, we will be discovered. It will be very dangerous. Fatty Chu said. That's why we have to think of a foolproof plan. A few days later, a group of people went to the Beigong clan. They were led to the main hall of the Beigong clan and were personally received by the clan leader. I didn't know that the Goshawk King had arrived. Please forgive me for not going out to meet you. Please take a seat and serve tea. Beigong Xiong said to the leader. Beigong clan leader is too courteous. The Goshawk King cupped his hands to Beigong Xiong and sat in the guest seat. The people who came with him sat in the seats below. The maidservant quickly brought up the tea. I wonder why the Goshawk King has come personally? Beigong Xiong asked. The Goshawk clan lived in a mountain range 100,000 miles away from Autumn Moon City. However, they never interacted with humans. The Goshawk King almost never appeared in the human world. That was why when the guard said that the Goshawk King had come personally, the entire Beigong clan was surprised. It's like this. This is a friend of our Goshawk clan. Because he saved our clansman before, we promised to help him. The Goshawk King pointed to a white-clothed man below, saying, a few days ago he came to our clan and asked for our precious Buddha lotus. He said that he wanted to refine a pill. This king was afraid that the Buddha lotus would be stolen midway because of how precious it is. That's why I came along. As for why I chose your Beigong clan, it's because we just happened to come in from the south gate and you're closer. If you can't refine the pill that he wants, we'll go to the one in the north. Beigong Xiong looked at the white-clothed man. He had delicate features and looked rather young. Who would have thought that he would have such a great relationship with the Goshawk clan? Chapter 485. May I know your name, young master? Beigong Xiong asked the man in white. See you. Sima Yue randomly thought of a name. That's right, the person following the Goshawk King was Sima Yue. A few days ago, just as they were thinking of how to go to the Beigong clan without arousing the other party's suspicion, Little Peng suddenly stood up, pushed open the window and looked outside, saying, Yu, I have an idea. What is it? Just now, I felt the aura of the bird clan. Little Rock said. Wait here, we'll go out for a while. Sima Yue's eyes lit up. After saying that, she and Little Peng went out. Not long after, the Sun Mother Stone reacted. There's a Goshawk clan nearby. Let's take a look first. If possible, we'll get them to bring us to the Beigong clan. Wait for our news. Sima Yue's voice came from the Mother-Sun Stone. Are you going alone? How about we go with you? Sima Lai said worriedly. Grandpa, wait for me in the city. Maybe I'll need you to make some arrangements. Sima Yue said. Don't worry, Little Rock is their king. We'll be fine. After saying that, she cut off the previous contact with them. They stopped 2 transformed vultures outside the city and found out that there were vultures here. They were not too far away, so they planned to ask the Vulture King for help. If a fight really broke out, he might need their help. The fact that Little Rock had evolved into a golden-winged rock was something that everyone in the bird world knew about. All the birds in the outer circle had received the news through special channels. However, because it was too far away, the birds in other places did not go to pay their respects. Sima Yue and Little Rock went to the Goshawk tribe, and the Goshawk King led his tribesmen to pay their respects. Goshawk King, we have encountered a problem and we would like to ask for your help. Sima Yue went straight to the point. If we can do it, just let us know. The Goshawk King said. Sima Yue explained the situation to me. She said that she hoped to use the Goshawk tribe to enter the Beigong family and create an opportunity for me to stay and find someone. That's no problem. The Goshawk King said. Also, I want you to sneak outside Autumn Moon City. If we encounter any problems, you can help. That's not a problem. Then I'll have to trouble you. Sima Yu didn't think that this Goshawk King would be so easy to talk to despite looking a little cold. That was why the Goshawk King brought Sima Yue to the Beigong family. Beigong Xiong looked at Sima Yue, who was so calm. Her aura was not something an ordinary person could possess. Furthermore, the Goshawk King had personally escorted her. Her status was definitely not low. She might even be from the central region. He smiled and asked, I wonder what kind of pill young Master Siyu wants us to refine? Monarch Breaking Pill. Sima Yue said. The Monarch Breakthrough Pill had similar effects as the Divinity Breakthrough Pill, but the target was different. The divinity pill was used to allow people to break through from the spirit level to the divine level. The monarch breaking pill was used to allow people from the divine level to advance to the monarch level. Monarch breaking pill? Hearing this pill, the Bei Gongxiong family sucked in a breath. Sima Yue nodded and said, "Can you refine it?" Bei Gongao said, "We can't." Sima Yue frowned. "Why?" "Because the monarch breaking pill's recipe has been lost for a long time. Even if it's us, we can't refine it for you without the recipe," Bei Gongao said. Hearing this, Sima Yue relaxed and said, "The recipe is not a problem. I have it." "You have it?" Sima Yue said, "I've seen the recipe. It's an 8th tier pill. As long as you have an 8th tier alchemist, it's fine." "We have 8th tier alchemists," Bei Gongao said, "but the higher the level, the lower the success rate. Our alchemists have never practiced before, so we don't know if they can succeed. If we don't succeed in the end, I'm afraid we won't be able to answer to you." Sima Yue sighed and said, "I'm also an alchemist. I know the rules of the alchemy world. To be honest, I didn't prepare a lot of ingredients. I only managed to gather 30% of the ingredients. That's why I went to look for the Buddha lotus. You know that other than its effects, it can also increase the success rate of the pill. I have no other choice now. That person in my family doesn't have much time left. The only way to extend his life is to reach the monarch level as soon as possible." "Then when do you plan to refine it?" Bei Gongao asked as he thought about which family or sect was suitable for this. "We still have to wait for 2 more days," Sima Yue said, "because the last ingredient will only mature in 2 more days. When that time comes, someone will contact me and send it to me. I'm here to scout ahead." "Since that's the case, then you can stay in my residence for 2 days. Once the ingredients are sent over, we'll start refining the pill," Bei Gongao said. "All right, no matter if the pill refining is a success or not, we'll pay you handsomely," Sima Yue said. Bei Gongao didn't have much of a demand for this. Since the other party was an alchemist, he would naturally know the minimum price for each grade of alchemist. He wouldn't go back on his word. Moreover, the other party was brought here by the Goshawk King. It wasn't appropriate for him to raise his price. Now that the other party had said so, the reward would definitely not be small. "Young Master Siyu, if you're sure that you want to refine the pill here, can you give us the pill formula first? We'll need to study it to increase the success rate." Sima Yue was a little hesitant. This was a lost pill formula. If she gave it to the other party, it would be gone. She wouldn't have it anymore. Bei Gongao saw Sima Yue's reaction and understood. If it was him, he would also hesitate. After all, this wasn't a small matter. However, in the end, Sima Yue still took out a pill formula. The ancient papers showed that this pill formula was from a long time ago. It definitely wasn't fake. "We'll have to trouble clan head Bei Gongao." Sima Yue solemnly handed the pill formula to Bei Gongao. "I'll get them to study this pill formula properly." Bei Gongao said, "I'll get them to bring you guys to rest first." "All right." The Goshawk King was very picky about where to stay. He didn't like the noise outside, so Bei Gongao brought them to a courtyard at the back. The Goshawk King said that if they wanted to be near the mountain, they just had to find a courtyard near the mountain. Thus, he arranged a courtyard near the back of the mountain for them. Sima Yue thought about the location of this courtyard that Bei Gongtang had told her about before. She realized that this place wasn't very far from where they used to live. "You guys can leave. Our king doesn't like humans coming close." A goshawk waved at the person leading the way and said. Everyone knew that the Goshawk King didn't like to interact with humans, so they didn't suspect anything and left. When Bei Gongao received the news, he ordered those people to not go near that area. Chapter 486. At night, a black shadow the size of a fist came out from the courtyard. The shadow flew while muttering softly. "Really, she's such a beautiful Mao Mao, but you actually made it black. When we go back, you must compensate me." "What do you mean I can completely restrain my aura? I'm the most suitable person for this mission. I think Yu is just unhappy that I was teasing Beauty Sang. Chatting with Beauty Sang." Little Roar quickly flew along the ground and quickly found the courtyard that Bei Gongtang and the others were living in. Seeing the dilapidated state of the courtyard, Little Roar felt indignant for Bei Gongtang. This Bei Gong family is too annoying. How is this a place for humans to live? Those houses are so crooked that they're about to collapse. Everything is in tatters. Only that plum blossom tree is still in good condition. I can't imagine how Bei Gong and the others live here. The Bei Gong family really owes them a lot. We'll see what Bei Gong has to say when the time comes. If they want to seek justice, we'll support them. Sima Yue said, "Did you see that basement?" "Not yet. I haven't entered the house yet." Little Roar said, "I'll let the bee bring me in." "All right. Wait a minute, find a place to hide," Sima Yue said hurriedly. Little Roar did not know why, but he still quickly hid on the roof and lay down. After a while, a man came out of the house and stood in the courtyard for a while. A woman followed him out of the house. "Husband, that bitch still doesn't want to say it. You've already seen her concoct pills thousands of times. Can't you see her method?" Gu Yunair walked to Beigong Ao's side and said. Little Roar laid on the roof and lifted his round head to look down. Although he could only see the backs of the two people, he could tell that the two of them did indeed have some good looks. At the very least, their figures were not bad. "The Yin clan's alchemy is too strange. I followed her refining process, but the pills I refined were not as good as hers," Beigong Ao said. "We can't go on like this." Gu Yunair was a little unhappy. "Are you really doing this for the Yin clan's secret alchemy technique, or are you actually reluctant to part with that slut?" Beigong Ao hugged Gu Yunair and said gently, "What are you talking about? Do you still not understand why I did it all these years? But if she doesn't say anything, are you going to keep her?" Gu Yunair asked. "And that kid, he was clearly our bargaining chip to threaten her, yet he became her bargaining chip to threaten us. That's not right. Just looking at them makes me unhappy." "Silly Yun." Beigong Ao hugged her and walked forward, coaxing her. "I only have you in my heart and you're still jealous. How about this? Give her another 2 years. If she still refuses to talk to us after 2 years, I'll get rid of her and her son. What do you think?" "That's what you said." "If she's still alive in 2 years, I'll end her myself. Don't blame me when the time comes." "Good, good, good," the two of them chatted as they walked away. When Little Roar heard their conversation, he was so angry that he almost fell from the roof. "These two bad people, I'll definitely teach you a lesson when we get back." He came down from the roof. 2 bees flew over and brought him into the house before landing in a corner. "It's here?" Little Roar flew over and tapped on the spot where the bees stopped. An underground passage appeared in front of him. Buzz 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 dash, the bees flew in front of Little Roar. "You're saying that they're down here?" Little Roar looked at the pitch-black underground passage and said, "I'm most afraid of the dark. It looks really scary down here." Buzz 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 dash, one of the scarlet bees flew down, but was stopped by the enchantment of the passage. "There's actually an enchantment." Little Roar said, "Come, follow me down." As he said that, he stretched out his claws and hugged the 2 scarlet bees in his arms before flying down the passage. "It's so dark." Little Roar flew forward based on his instincts. Only when he reached the end did he see a dungeon. There were 2 prison cells. One of them had a man lying in it, while the other had a woman sitting in the corner. A dim yellow lamp was in the corner, emitting a helpless light. Little Roar did not go out immediately. Instead, he observed in the darkness. However, the 2 of them seemed to be lifeless. Neither of them spoke. Until Little Roar was about to lose his patience, a hoarse voice came from the ground. "You really have no way of contacting them? Does the Yin clan really not care about us?" After not speaking for a long time, the man seemed to have lost his ability to speak. Yin Lan did not say anything. She was already exhausted from refining the pill. "That man, I think he's about to lose his patience. Even if you use your life to save mine, we should be reaching the end." Bei Gong Hang sat up from the ground and said, "I don't know where sister is now and how she's doing. If we died, would she know?" "I'm sorry, Hang Air. If I had let you go back then, you wouldn't have been locked up here with me for so many years," Yin Lan said. "Mother, if the one who left back then was me, I'm afraid that the 3 of us would have died long ago." Bei Gong Hang leaned against the wall and looked at the dark wall. It was as if he could look at the sky like this. "However, looking at that woman's expression, I'm afraid that she won't be able to bear with us for much longer. After being locked up for so many years, if we could really die, it would be a form of release." Yin Lan looked at Bei Gong Hang guiltily. "Mother has let you down the most in this life. Mother, do you think that sister will suddenly come back and save us?" Bei Gong Hang did not have the fear of facing death. Thinking of what he said, he laughed in disbelief. "Even if sister survives, she wouldn't be able to cultivate so much in such a short period of time and come back to find us. I only hope that she will be able to take revenge for us when she comes back." Little Roar heard enough and flew to the front of the prison. He blinked his big eyes and asked, "Are you Yin Lan and Bei Gong Hang?" Yin Lan and Bei Gong Hang were shocked by the sudden appearance of the black dust ball. How did this thing suddenly appear in front of them? "Who are you?" Bei Gong Hang looked at Little Roar cautiously. I'm Little Roar. Are you Yin Lan and Bei Gong Hang? Little Roar asked again. Yes. Were you sent by that woman to kill us? Bei Gong Hang asked. Other than this possibility, he could not think of anyone else who could pass through the enchantment above and come here. However, that black dust ball-like body and sparkling big eyes did not have a single bit of killing intent. It did not look like it was here to kill people. It's good that you are. Little Roar took out a pendant from who knows where and asked, Do you recognize this thing? Yin Lan saw that pendant and her mouth opened in shock. She covered her mouth in disbelief. Chapter 487. Seeing Yin Lan's reaction, Little Roar knew that it was her. For mobile phone, please visit. Mother, that isn't that elder sister's pendant? Bei Gong Hang also recognized the pendant and said excitedly. Yin Lan came to the edge of the prison and reached out to take the pendant. Tanger, where is Tanger? Little Roar placed the pendant into Yin Lan's hands and said, Don't worry, Sister Bei Gong is still alive. Where is she? Is it safe? Bei Gong Hang asked. She's in Autumn Moon City. She's only a few kilometers away from here. Little Roar said. How could she come back? If those people find out, she'll be in danger. Yin Lan said anxiously, Please tell her to leave and not stay here any longer. You guys don't have to worry. Bei Gong is safe right now. We came back this time to save you guys. Little Roar said, I just heard that adulterous couple say that they would kill you guys in 2 years at the latest. We have to get you out of here. I was too excited when I saw Tanger's things. I haven't asked you yet. What's your relationship with Tang? Yin Lan tried her best to regain her composure as she asked. My master and Bei Gong are good friends. They grew up together. Little Roar said. There are many of us here. We will definitely be able to save you. They had grown up together since they were 14 years old. It's still not possible. The Bei Gong clan is too strong. It's too dangerous to save us. Yin Lan still didn't agree. If possible, you should save Hanger. As long as I'm here, that man won't be too angry. After all, he just wants to get the secret technique from me. If I also go missing, then they will definitely spend a lot of effort and will definitely catch us before giving up. No, Mother. How can I run away by myself and let you bear all this alone? Bei Gong Hang shook his head in disapproval. I have to stay here and stall for time. Yin Lan said, You've suffered so much with me all these years. I can't watch you die with me. Now that your sister is back, she should be able to guarantee your safety. I don't agree. Stop fighting. My master said that no one can be left behind. All of you have to go out. Little Roar said, However, this specific method can only be discussed after we find you and see your situation. That's why we need you to wait here for 2 days. Now, my master has a question for you. Yin Lan saw the determination in her son's eyes and said, Ask away. We will tell you everything we know. All right. First question, when will that scumbag come again? Scumbag? Is that scum Bei Gong Ao? Anywhere from 5 to 10 days. He's only here tonight, which means he won't be here for the next 5 days, right? I think so. Alright, next question, how strong are the two of you now? I'm a mid-level god emperor, hasn't reached the god realm yet. Next. After Little Roar finished asking his question, he took out a bottle of pills from who knows where and gave it to Bei Gong Hang, saying, This is to help you heal. When Guyan Air and Bei Gong Air were free, they would come and beat Bei Gong Hang up, so he had many new and old wounds on his body. Because Yin Lan had to refine pills, she did not suffer any physical injuries. Alright, I have to go back. I'll come back in 2 days. Otherwise, it'll be troublesome if they suddenly come. It's so sad to be weak. Little Roar sighed after he finished speaking and went back the way he came. After Little Roar left, Yin Lan and Bei Gong Hang looked at each other. If not for the pendant in Yin Lan's hand and the pills in Bei Gong Hang's hand, they would definitely have thought that they were dreaming. We were just talking about elder sister, who knew that such a spirit beast would come. This is too mysterious. Bei Gong Hang said. Tang Er is still alive. There's still her aura on this. I can feel it. Yin Lan held the pendant in front of her chest. She's still alive. That's great. When Little Roar returned to Sima Yu's side, he told her what that scumbag man and scumbag woman said. This made Sima Yu extremely angry. After her anger subsided, she took out the Mother-Son Stone and contacted the outside world. When Bei Gong Tang found out that her mother and brother were still alive, her heart was finally at ease. The others were also happy for her and the atmosphere in the room relaxed. Now that we've confirmed that they're still alive, let's discuss the next step of the plan. My idea is... On the second day, Sima Yue used the excuse of wanting to visit the Bei Gong clan to walk around. When she was about to reach the small courtyard where Bei Gong Tang and the others used to live, a girl stopped her with a smile. This must be young Master Siyu? This little girl is called Bei Gong Air. Greetings. That girl bowed slightly to Sima Yue, looking a little shy. Sima Yue did not think that this girl would be Bei Gong Air. She looked a little similar to Bei Gong Tang, probably inherited from Bei Gong Ao. So it's Miss Bei Gong Air. My apologies. Sima Yue cupped her hands to Bei Gong Air and smiled. Bei Gong Air looked at Sima Yue's courteous manner and smiled coquettishly. Young Master Siyu, that's an abandoned courtyard. There's nothing much to see. If you want to walk around, why don't I accompany you to a better place? Then I'll have to trouble Miss Bei Gong. Sima Yue replied, I didn't see any guards or servants when I came out just now. I could only walk around blindly. I heard that the Goshawk King doesn't like humans. That's why great-grandfather told the clansmen not to come near here. No wonder you couldn't find him when you came out. Bei Gong Air said, Where does young Master Siyu want to go? So Miss Bei Gong is the young miss of the Bei Gong clan. I really didn't recognize you. Sima Yue pretended to be surprised. Anywhere is fine. I don't have any requirements. I just saw that your clan is so grand and wanted to take a look around. I'll go wherever the scenery is good. Then young Master Siyu, please follow me. Bei Gong Air walked. You really have to follow me wherever the Bei Gong clan is good because I know these things the best. Then this C is very lucky to have met young Miss today. Young Master Siyu is too courteous. Bei Gong Air said, Oh right, you came out to walk around. Where are the Goshawk King and the others? They're fixing things in the house. Sima Yue looked at Bei Gong Air, wanting to know what she was up to. Bei Gong Tang's eyes turned and she pretended to ask casually, I heard that you have a good relationship with the Goshawk clan. The Goshawk King actually personally came down the mountain for you. I wonder what's going on? Can you tell little Air about it? When Sima Yue heard how little Air addressed her, she was so disgusted that she almost vomited. However, she still had to keep up the act. Actually, it's not a big deal. It's just that my great-grandfather saved the Goshawk King before. Then, did they let you form a contract with their Goshawk King? I heard that the Goshawk King's flying speed is very fast. Is that true? Sima Yue laughed coldly in her heart. This fox's tail was revealed so quickly. Chapter 488. Sima Yue said calmly, I don't have a contract with any eagles, but we came here on one of them. It was really fast, much faster than the other birds. That's really not bad. Bei Gong Air said enviously, I've always wanted to give it a try, but unfortunately, I never had the chance. Hee hee. Sima Yue chuckled and refused to follow her words. Bei Gong Air saw that Sima Yue wasn't replying to her and her eyes flashed with annoyance. She smiled and asked, How long will young Master Sima Yue be staying this time? If you have enough time, I can bring you around. I know a lot of good places. Forget about it. Sima Yue rejected him directly. I have something to do this time. The reason why I'm able to enjoy these 2 days of leisure is because I still need one more herb. I'm still waiting for them to send it to me. Once the medicinal ingredients are delivered and you have finished refining the pills for us, I will leave. So I'm afraid I can't go out with Miss Bei Gong. That's such a pity. Bei Gong Air said regretfully, I wonder where young Master Siyu lives? I don't think I've heard of a family with the surname Si in the nearby cities. Our Si family is not in the central region. Sima Yue said. It's not a clan from the central region? Bei Gong Air said in surprise, then why did you come here to become an alchemist? Sigh. Sima Yue shook her head and said, Isn't it because this monarch-breaking pill is too difficult? In order to obtain the Buddha lotus, we had no choice but to come here. You also know that after plucking the Buddha lotus, you must quickly refine it into pills. Otherwise it would be useless. To be honest, I haven't even seen the Buddhist lotus yet. The Goshawk King will only send someone to bring the Buddhist lotus over after the herb is delivered. If I still can't succeed in refining it, then perhaps this is fate. The beasts in the spirit pagoda all rolled their eyes. Master was so talented in acting. Sima Yue cursed in her heart. The Bei Gong family actually sent Bei Gong Air to test her. They must be drunk. Bei Gong Air looked at Sima Yue and sighed. My Bei Gong family is also a family of alchemists. We have several 8th-ranked alchemists. I heard that they are all studying the pill recipe today. There shouldn't be any problems when it's time to refine the pill. It would be best if Miss Bei Gong said so. But I have to be prepared for the best. If it doesn't work, actually if it doesn't work, I don't even dare to imagine the consequences, Sima Yue said in frustration. It's all Xiao Yi's fault for making young Master see you upset. In order to make up for my mistake, why don't I treat you to a drink? Drink? Forget it. I can't hold my liquor well. I'll get drunk as soon as I drink. Sima Yue said. How can cultivators like us have such low alcohol tolerance? Bei Gong'er said, Xiao Yi really wants to apologize to young Master Siyu. Could it be that young Master doesn't want to be with Xiao Yi? No. Why wouldn't I want to be with Miss Bei Gong? Sima Yue quickly waved her hands, looking like she was in a difficult position. Finally she sighed and said, since Miss Bei Gong has said so, it wouldn't be good for me to reject it. Let's go have a drink then. Then I'll treat you to a famous restaurant in Autumn Moon City. Although Memory Restaurant has only been open for about 10 years, the food and drinks inside are not bad. Especially the wine. It's fragrant and sweet. You can't find it anywhere else. Bei Gong'er said. Sima Yue was stunned when she heard the name Memory Restaurant. There was a Memory Restaurant here too? Young Master Siyu, what are you thinking about? Bei Gong'er asked when she saw her in a daze. Oh, nothing. Sima Yue shook her head and said, I just remembered that I haven't eaten at Memory Restaurant for a long time. I miss the taste there. You have a Memory Restaurant there too? Bei Gong'er asked in astonishment. That's right. There are many Memory Restaurants in many places. Don't you know? Bei Gong'er shook her head and said, although I know that Memory Restaurant is very big, I've been in Autumn Moon City since I was young. I haven't been to other places for 20 years, so I haven't seen it before. That's why I really want to have a powerful flying beast that can bring me to many places. Sima Yue looked at Bei Gong'er. She really looked like an innocent girl who had never seen the world. If it wasn't for the scarlet bees that were monitoring her, telling her how domineering, arrogant and willful she was usually, she would have been deceived by her. You're the young miss of the Bei Gong clan. You'll have many opportunities to go out and see the world. Sima Yue said, let's go to Memory Restaurant. After an hour, Sima Yue and Bei Gong'er arrived at Memory Restaurant. When the shopkeeper saw Sima Yue enter, his expression changed. He instructed the waiter and went to the back hall. Young Miss Bei Gong, you're here. Is it the same private room as before? The waiter went forward and asked eagerly. Yes, it's that one. Bei Gong'er exuded a sense of superiority when facing these people. We'll go up ourselves. Give me a portion of all your signature dishes. Also, give us 2 portions of your best wine. All right. 1 portion of all your signature dishes and 2 portions of your best wine. The waiter said as he ran towards the kitchen. Bei Gong'er brought Sima Yue to her favorite private room. It was the best private room on the 2nd floor. Sima Yue saw a staircase before entering and asked casually, are there private rooms upstairs too? No. Bei Gong'er glanced at the staircase and said, that's a restricted area. Guests are not allowed to go up. So there's only the main hall and the private rooms on the 2nd floor? That's right. Although this place is small, business is the best. Even though cultivators rarely eat, this place is always full. Even the private rooms have to be booked a few days in advance. Only our private room and the one opposite are fixed. Bei Gongyi said. That's the Yin families? Sima Yue heard sounds coming from inside. It seemed like someone was drinking. Bei Gong'er pursed her lips and glared at the other side saying, isn't that so? This Yin family likes to suppress us. We booked a long-term private room here and they came to book it too. They even paid a higher deposit than us. How annoying. Sima Yue did not have a good impression of the Yin family and did not care about who was in the room. The 2 of them entered the private room. The waiter served tea first. The taste was similar to the tea they drank at Memory Restaurant in innumerable Green City. Not long later, the waiter served various dishes and 2 jars of good wine. A few minutes later, Sima Yue's cheeks were flushed red and her eyes were blurry. One look and you could tell that she was drunk. Looks like young Master C you really can't drink. Xiao Er thought that you were just trying to shirk the responsibility. I really can't drink. Sima Yue said as she waved her hand. Bei Gong'er's eyes flashed with delight as she looked at her and asked, young master said that you're not from the Central Territory. May I know where you live? Chapter 489. Was he planning to get her drunk to get information? Sima Yue sneered in her heart. She pretended to be drunk and said in a daze, my house? My home isn't here. My home is far away. I know. You said you weren't in the central region. Bei Gongyi said. It's not just the central region. It's not even in the outer region. Sima Yue said, Sai, our family rules state that we're not allowed to use our family name to bully others. That's why we're not allowed to announce our family name when we go out. Hearing this, Bei Gongyi was overjoyed. They had already guessed that this person's identity wasn't simple. Otherwise, the Goshawk King wouldn't have come personally. They hadn't expected him to be from the central area. If they could form a good relationship with the Beigong clan, wouldn't the Beigong clan soar in the future? If she became his woman, she would be able to live in the central region. Thinking up to this point, she was overjoyed and an idea came to her mind. She picked up the wine jug and filled Sima Yue to the brim, saying, "Young Master Siyu, this wine isn't bad, right?" "Not bad, not bad. Tastes good," Sima Yue said as she downed the wine in one gulp. Bei Gongyi refilled the glass and said shyly, "Is this wine more beautiful or am I more beautiful?" "Blurg." Sima Yue immediately went to the side and vomited. Those words were so disgusting that she could not help but vomit. After vomiting, she seemed to sober up a little and said, "Sorry, my alcohol level is really—" Bei Gongyi's face darkened when she saw Sima Yue vomiting. However, since Sima Yue said that she vomited after drinking, that should be the case. It was a pity that she couldn't continue after vomiting. The sour smell was really unpleasant. "Looks like it's really hard for little E to let young Master Siyu drink. Why don't we go back earlier?" Okay. Sima Yue stood up unsteadily and walked out. Bei Gongyi reached out to support her, but she accidentally swayed away. Then she opened the door and swayed out. When they went downstairs, the shopkeeper saw them and said with a smile, "Miss Beigong, you're done eating so quickly?" "Yes, my friend can't hold her liquor. Find us a beast carriage." Bei Gongyi pointed at Sima Yue and said, "All right. Waiter, prepare a beast carriage for Miss Beigong." The shopkeeper looked at Sima Yue meaningfully and said, "This child is drunk. You have to support him carefully later." "Okay." The waiter put the rag on his shoulder and went out. Sima Yue held onto the stairs and pretended to be drunk. She felt that the way the shopkeeper looked at her was a little strange. However, since it was her first time here, it shouldn't be a problem. "Young Master Siyu, let me help you out," Bei Gongyi said as she stepped forward. "No need. I can walk on my own." Sima Yue continued to walk towards the door unsteadily. She accidentally bumped into someone who was walking in from outside. "Am I right?" She knew something was wrong the moment she smelled it. It was a familiar smell. She raised her head and saw a familiar face. Senior brother? Why are you here?" "I'm here to give you something." Wu Lingyu hugged Sima Yue and said to Bei Gongyi, "I'll take her away first." After he finished speaking, he didn't wait for Bei Gongyi to speak and helped Sima Yue out. Bei Gongyi wanted to say something but was ignored. When the shopkeeper saw Wu Lingyu, he didn't say anything. He lowered his head so that Wu Lingyu couldn't see his gaze. On the second floor, the window of a private room facing the street opened. A man and a woman sat in front of the window. The man was wearing a mask. Seeing the two of them walking on the street, the woman said, "Is that the holy son of the Sage Pavilion, Wu Lingyu? How did he get here? Could it be that he's also going to participate in the auction?" "I don't know. But since he's a member of the Sage Pavilion, he should be counted as one of our targets this time." The masked man looked at the two of them coldly. But no one knows Wu Lingyu's strength. It said that those who went to find trouble with him didn't survive. If you go up against him, won't it be too dangerous? The woman said worriedly, "I don't have long to live. If I can kill one more, I'll take my revenge." "You?" Sigh. The woman sighed. She looked at Sima Yue and asked, "She called him senior brother just now. What about her? Do we have to kill her too?" The masked man looked at Sima Yue's back. He didn't know why, but he felt a sense of familiarity. Sima Yue felt the gaze behind her and turned around. Their eyes met. Boom! Sima Yue felt as if her heart had collapsed. She looked straight at the masked man. The world around her seemed to have quietened down. Only the two of them were left. Seeing Sima Yue's gaze on him, the masked man frowned. The mole under his eyebrows moved. Wu Lingyu noticed that Sima Yue was acting strangely. He followed her gaze and saw that she was staring straight at another man. His heart started to bubble. He hadn't settled the score with her yet, and now she was looking at another man in front of him. Sima Yue looked at the masked man. Her eyes were red. Her lips moved as if she wanted to say something, but her tears fell first. "What's wrong?" Wu Lingyu saw that Sima Yue was crying and asked softly. Sima Yue came back to her senses and saw Bei Gongyi coming out of the inn. She wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and said, "It's nothing. Let's go." The moment she turned around, she seemed to hear a familiar voice from her memory. "Big sister, let's eat roasted spirit rabbit today." Big sister, leave quickly. You have to survive and take revenge for us. She closed her eyes and her tears fell uncontrollably. When she turned the corner, she called out a few scarlet bees and made them fly back. That person looked at you strangely. The masked man looked at Sima Yuyue's back. His mind was still immersed in the gaze just now. That gaze, that feeling, it was similar to when his big sister looked at him. But at that time his big sister's gaze was filled with love and pampering. There was no such thick guilt. Are you all right? The woman waved her hand in front of his face, interrupting his memories. I'm fine. The masked man adjusted his emotions and said, I don't know who that person is. That person wasn't his big sister. His big sister was already dead. No matter how similar the gaze was, it couldn't be her. That's easy. I'll get someone to check and we'll know. The woman took out a paper crane. She inserted her spiritual energy and sent a strand of divine sense into it. Then the paper crane spread its wings and flew away. Sima Yue wasn't in a good mood. She walked in a daze. The two of them walked on the street. Wu Lingyu didn't care about her and watched as she bumped into a tree trunk by the side of the road. Ah, Sima Yue was in pain. When she came back to her senses, she saw that she had walked to the side of the road. She heard Wu Lingyu's laughter behind her. She turned around and glared at him, but saw that he was smiling brightly. Chapter 490. When Wu Lingyu saw Sima Yue's dissatisfied gaze, he walked up to her and rubbed her forehead. He smiled and said, Let's see if you'll still be so distracted next time. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him, turned around and continued walking. She could not be bothered with him. Wu Lingyu was still reminiscing about her anger and disdain just now. She felt very happy. Seeing that she had already walked far away, she hurriedly chased after her and walked side by side with her. You know that person? Speaking of that person, Sima Yue looked a little sad. She shook her head and said, Maybe I know him, maybe I don't. It's more likely that they don't know each other. At that time the situation was so critical, how could he have survived? However, her first impression of him, that pair of familiar eyes, and that mole under his eyebrows gave her a glimmer of hope. What if he was still alive? Just like that, she hoped that the person was him, but she also felt that it was impossible. Her heart was tangled between hope and reality. Wu Lingyu felt that this girl had changed a lot ever since she had advanced to the deity level. The hatred and grief in her eyes were something that had never been there before. Moreover, her murderous heart was stronger than before. By the way, you haven't told me why you're here. Sima Yue asked. I went into seclusion. When I came out, I found you here, so I came. Wu Lingyu said, The compass that I gave you leads directly to the Divine Devil Valley. How did you end up in the outskirts? If I had known earlier, I would have brought you here. Speaking of this, Sima Yue smiled helplessly. Don't think that I don't know that your soul is unstable right now. You can walk around the primordial lands as you wish, but it won't be easy for you to go to the lower continents. Moreover, I want to use the boundary compass to reach Divine Devil Valley directly, so I don't want to trouble you. Who would have thought that I would encounter an almighty battle in the space passage, which affected the void and shattered my passage? I came here before I even reached the Divine Devil Valley. After regaining her memories, she remembered that low-level continents were protected by the rules, so it was much more difficult to construct a spatial passage to the past. Especially the Yilan continent. As a continent of imprisonment, its level was the lowest, its laws were the strongest, and it had the most protection. At the same time, there was also a lot of suppression. Wu Lingyu's soul was still incomplete, so it would take some effort for her to go there. To use an analogy, traversing the same continent was like cutting a watermelon. Breaking through to the continent below was like using the same knife to cut a bone. The difficulty was not increased by just a little bit. Moreover, she also wanted this spatial compass to bring her directly to the Divine Devil Valley, so she didn't want to trouble him. She could just go by herself. Who knew that she would be so unlucky to encounter such a rare occurrence? Wu Lingyu didn't know how she knew all this, but it seemed like she was being considerate when she rejected her. Are you going to the Divine Devil Valley now? Not now. Sima Yue shook her head. Beigong's matter is not settled yet. We still want to attend the Xinyuan Pavilion's auction. I heard that the Sky Heaven School's enrollment is in a few days. We want to try. Initially, she only wanted to learn about spatial coordinates. Later on, she slowly understood the power of the Sky Heaven School, so she wanted to give it a try. The Sky Heaven School is indeed a good place. Although it's in the outer regions, its status is not lower than the Divine Devil Valley. There are many powerful teachers there, so it's good to go there. When I return to the Divine Devil Valley, Master knew that you were in the central region. He also said that if you have the chance you should go to the Sky Heaven School. There are many old fellows there who are friends with the Divine Devil Valley. Wu Lingyu said. If I didn't say to go to the Sky Heaven School you would have let me go. Sima Yue didn't think that Old Man Devil would suggest them to go to the Sky Heaven School. Isn't this convenient? Wu Lingyu said. If you went directly to the Divine Devil Valley, you wouldn't have to come here. Since you're already here, it's good for your growth to broaden your horizons. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him. She knew that she was weak now but she was still young. It wasn't that she wanted to boast, but she was already a mid-level divine king in her 20s. Other than those who were born with high birth points, she was already considered very powerful. However, even Old Man Devil had such a high evaluation of the Sky Heaven School. It seemed like there was something there that was worth learning. The two of them went to the inn that they stayed in before. Bei Gong Tang and the others were surprised to see Sima Yue return. However, when they saw Wu Lingyu behind her, they understood. I originally wanted Ziqi to pretend to be the person who delivered the medicine. Now that senior brother is here, Ziqi doesn't need to go. Sima Yue said. Tomorrow senior brother and I will go to the Bei Gong clan. Then you can openly ask for the person. It's best if you can attract all the important people of the Bei Gong clan. If they don't admit it, we'll bring the mother and son in front of everyone. However, there's one thing. You can't enter the Bei Gong clan. You can only wait outside. Once you enter, the Bei Gong clan might use some ruthless methods to exterminate us. At least there will be people watching from outside. The Bei Gong clan won't dare to act so brazenly. Okay. Bei Gong Tang nodded. Right, when we went out today we met the Yin clan. Did you have a conflict? Sima Yue frowned. It would not be a good thing to have a conflict with the Yin clan at this time. No. Bei Gong Tang shook her head. However, we heard them say that my uncle has returned. I think that if we have the chance to meet him it might be helpful. However, I was afraid that it would clash with your plans so I wanted to tell you. Then what about the rest of the Yin clan? What are your plans? We'll talk about it after we save mother and younger brother. She had never interacted with a large clan like the Yin clan. It didn't matter whether they existed or not. It would depend on what her mother said. That uncle of yours should really care about your mother. If we get him to help us put pressure on the Bei Gong clan it should be useful. Sima Yue said. Then let's find a time to meet him today. Okay. Bei Gong Tang smiled and replied. At night, Bei Gong Tang, Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu left the inn together and went straight to the Yin clan in the north of the city. Yin Hao was cultivating in the house when he suddenly felt a pair of eyes looking at him. There was no murderous intent. He opened his eyes and saw a spirit beast that looked like a black charcoal ball floating in the air, looking at him. Before he started cultivating, he had clearly set up a barrier around the house. How did this little guy come in? Are you Yin Hao? Little Roar asked. You've already come into my house. Do you still need to ask this question? Yin Hao looked at Little Roar. He was not nervous and was certain that it would not hurt him. Someone wants to see you. Little Roar said. Oh, you'll be surprised when you see them. You'll regret it if you don't see them. Little Roar turned around and flew out. Yin Hao saw it clearly. When it met the barrier only rippled a little before it went out. After thinking about it, he still followed it out. Chapter 491. Yin Hao followed Little Roar all the way to a secluded alley near the Yin clan. The moment he entered, he realized that there were 3 people standing inside. One of them was someone he recognized, the Holy Son of the Sage Pavilion. First edition he didn't know the other 2. Judging from their young age they probably didn't know who he was. Is it Wu Lingyu who is looking for me? Why are you looking for me? We are here to tell you a piece of news. Yin Lan is still alive, but she has been imprisoned. Sima Yue looked at Yin Hao and carefully observed his expression. Seeing the shock and joy on his face, she knew that he was really happy, and her worries disappeared. Are you telling the truth? Yin Hao looked at the 3 of them and regained his calmness after his joy. He looked at the 3 of them warily. Why are you telling me this? Because we need your help, Sima Yue said. Although you are together with the Holy Son of the Sage Pavilion, how can I believe that your words are true? Yin Hao said. You should know that Yin Lan gave birth to a son and a daughter. The daughter escaped from the Bei Gong family with the help of others. Sima Yue said. Yin Hao frowned. Sima Yue even knew about this. If she didn't really know Yin Lan and the others and had other motives, then she was too dangerous. Sima Yue looked at Bei Gong Tang and said, why aren't you revealing your identity to her? Bei Gong Tang took a deep breath and said, I am the daughter of Yin Lan who escaped that year. You're Xiao Tang? You don't look like Yin Lan. How can you prove it? Yin Hao asked cautiously. Bei Gong Tang touched her own face, her eyes filled with undisguised disgust. Because it was very similar to that man, very similar. Mother once told me that you have the best relationship with her in the Yin family. You used to bring her everywhere to play. There was once when you ran into the mountains and were bitten by a snake. It was Mother who personally washed the poison out for you. Afraid of being punished by the elders, the two of you concealed this matter. Also, when the two of you were young, you saw a parrot raised by your family and roasted it. That parrot is your granduncle's favorite. Only the two of you know about this. Enough. Yin Hao looked at Bei Gong Tang emotionally. Seeing that her eyes were the same as his own sister's, he stepped forward and hugged her emotionally. When I came back that year, the Bei Gong family said that you went missing when you went out to play. Your mother and brother also died. At that time, I guessed that you didn't have a good life in the Bei Gong family. I only found out about those things after the investigation. I hate that I didn't come back earlier and let you suffer so much. Uncle, Mother is still alive. It's just that I was afraid that you would continue to pester me, so I said that Mother and younger brother were already dead. Bei Gong Tang had never been hugged by anyone other than her mother since she was young, so she said shyly. Are you telling the truth? Your mother is still alive. We've already investigated clearly. Little Roar has already seen Mother and confirmed that they are still alive. Bei Gong Tang said. Let's go to the Bei Gong family now and make them hand them over. Yin Hao pulled Bei Gong Tang and was about to leave. Uncle, don't be anxious. If we go like this, they will definitely not admit it. Bei Gong Tang said. But your mother and brother are still in the Bei Gong family. We've already thought of a way. We will definitely save Mother and younger brother. Bei Gong Tang said, we've come to find Uncle today to ask for your help. If there's anything you need me to do, just tell me directly. An hour later, Yin Hao returned to the Yin family and the three of them rushed towards the south of the city. It was fortunate that Sima Yue had comprehended the shrinking earth technique. Otherwise, if they didn't ride a flying beast, they definitely wouldn't be able to travel from the south to the north of the city in one night. Sima Yue held on to one person in each hand. Bei Gong Tang and Wu Lingyu naturally moved at the same speed as her. Although the shrinking earth technique was still in its early stages, the round trip and the time it took Yin Hao to speak added up to less than a night. Sima Yue had seen the introduction of the shrinking earth technique in a book on space comprehension. It was actually the evolved version of teleportation. At that time she didn't feel that it was that awesome. Today she personally tried it out and realized how powerful it was. She had just started and could already travel a few thousand kilometers in the night. If she mastered this technique in the future, this world would be much smaller to her. When they reached the south of the city, Sima Yue let go of the two of them and said, you guys can go back first. Yue, you're not going back with us. Where are you going? Bei Gong Tang asked. I have some private matters to settle. Sima Yue finished speaking and used the shrinking earth technique again to leave. Bei Gong Tang saw Wu Lingyu looking at Sima Yue's back as she left and said, you know where she's going? I know. Wu Lingyu replied faintly. Then why didn't you go with her? She already said that she wanted to go by herself. Even if I told her, she wouldn't let me go. Wu Lingyu entered the inn after he finished speaking and went to Sima Yue's room. He didn't ask about those things. He believed that one day she would tell him. Sima Yue came to the front of an inn a few streets away. She looked at a room that was lit up by the street and remained silent. Feng Er. She looked at the shadow on the window and muttered. Yu, is that person really Feng Er? Little Roar still had his black fur. Yu said that he had to stay like this before things were settled. He looked so ugly. He didn't look elegant at all. He still liked his white appearance. However, he didn't dare to mention this to Sima Yue because he knew how she felt. Can you smell Feng Er's scent? Little Roar shook his head. However, his head couldn't be seen in the dark anymore. His scent is different. Sima Yue raised her head and looked at the shadow again. Her eyes were filled with disappointment. A person could change his appearance and voice, but it was very difficult to change his scent. Maybe he brought something like you that can change his scent. Little Roar persuaded. Sima Yue was stunned. She then remembered that the ring that Wu Lingyu gave her could change her scent. Maybe the other party had changed his scent as well, which was why Little Roar couldn't recognize him. The window was suddenly pushed open. The masked man and her met each other again. He already knew that she was outside. However, he didn't know why, but he had an inexplicable feeling towards the person outside. That was why he didn't immediately take action. Feng Er, is that you? Sima Yue muttered to herself. The masked man's body trembled. Suddenly his gaze changed. He flew down from the room and came to Sima Yue's side. He grabbed her neck and the temperature was as cold as ice. "Who are you?" His hoarse voice sounded like it came from hell. Chapter 492. Book title. Chapter Refusal to Recognize You. Author Sima Yue lowered her eyes and looked at the hand that was full of wounds. It was as if this was not the person who was strangling her and controlling her life. "Who are you?" the masked man asked again and tightened his grip. Sima Yue could barely breathe. "Shimin Feng." She spat out these 3 words with difficulty. Shimin Feng's aura suddenly changed, bursting into a berserk state. "Who are you? Who sent you? If you don't tell me, I will kill you. Release you." Little Roar saw that the opponent was serious. Sima Yue's neck was about to be broken by him. With a kick of his short legs, he charged towards the opponent. Bang! That person waved his hand. Not only did Little Roar not injure him, he was also thrown far away. Little Roar fiercely crashed into the wall, and a fist-sized hole appeared on the wall. Little Roar. Sima Yue saw that Little Roar had been sent flying and cried out worriedly. She grabbed onto that person's hand with both of her hands. Taking advantage of the moment when he was stunned, her body moved nimbly and she escaped from his grasp. "You? Little Roar." The man unconsciously took 2 steps back and looked at Sima Yue in disbelief. "Roar." Little Roar instantly ran back and transformed into his original form. He roared at the masked man and quickly pounced over. When the man saw Little Roar's body, he was stunned and forgot to move. Only when Little Roar was right in front of him did he reach out a hand to stop Little Roar. However, this time he did not throw Little Roar away. "You're no match for me in your current state," he said hoarsely. "Even if I'm no match for you, I will still protect you." Little Roar tried his best to move, but the opponent's strength was too strong. Even if he was fully recovered, he would not be his opponent, not to mention now that his injuries had not fully recovered. "You guys can leave now." The masked man retracted his power and left after speaking to Sima Yue. "Shimin Feng, you have already recognized me, why don't you recognize me?" Sima Yue roared. The masked man's footsteps faltered, but he didn't turn around. "What are you talking about? I don't understand. I don't know you, so don't come looking for me. Every time you lie, you press your right thumb against your ring finger." Sima Yue said, "Even after so many years, you still haven't changed this habit." The masked man's hand paused. He quickly released his thumb from his ring finger and continued to stride forward. "Sister, you've always been protecting me. This time it's my turn to protect you. You go first, I'll wait for you to come back and find me after you've recovered." "Sister, I'll wait for you. You have to stay alive." "Sister, I'll wait for you. In my next life I'll still be your brother." Sima Yue said tearfully, "Now that I'm back, why are you pretending not to know me?" The face under the mask was also covered in tears. His hands loosened and loosened several times, but in the end he left without looking back. Sima Yue closed her eyes as she watched him leave. She was too familiar with him. His small movements had already exposed his identity, but he didn't want to acknowledge her, and she didn't want to acknowledge him. "Yu." Little Roar came to Sima Yue's side and rubbed against her body. Sima Yue stayed in the same spot for a while. She turned around and sat on Little Roar saying, "Let's go back. We don't have to hurry, we can just walk back slowly." "All right." Little Roar was unusually quiet and didn't say anything. He brought Sima Yue back to the inn. After they left, a voice came from the corner and stared blankly at their backs. "Sister, I'm sorry. Since she's your sister, why don't you acknowledge her?" A voice came from behind. Shimin Feng turned around. Kong Sengyi stood not far away and looked at him. Shimin Feng smiled bitterly. "How can I acknowledge her when I'm like this? If we're destined to be separated by death again, then I'd rather not acknowledge her." After he finished speaking, he walked past Kong Sengyi and returned to the inn. Kong Sengyi looked at Shimin Feng's back and firmly clenched his fist. "I definitely won't let you die, definitely." When Sima Yue returned to the inn, the sky was already bright. Everyone had already woken up and was waiting for her. Seeing her enter, it was obvious that she had cried. They were all worried. "Yue." Sima Yue waved her hand, telling Fatty Chu not to speak and not to ask. She then said to Bei Gong Tang, "I'll go back now. You can wait here for my news." "All right." Bei Gong Tang knew that she wasn't in a good mood and nodded. "Are you going alone? Why don't you let your senior go with you?" "Him?" Sima Yue was startled, as if she had already forgotten about Wu Lingyu. "I'll ask him if he wants to go with me." The door to her room opened and Wu Lingyu came out saying, "I'll go with you, let's go." The two of them walked out side by side. In order to save Yin Lan and her son, she temporarily suppressed her emotions. By the time she reached the Bei Gong clan, she had already calmed down and became Siyu again. "Young Master C, please." The guards had already received instructions, and when they saw Sima Yue walking over, they led them to the main hall. When they arrived, Bei Gong Xiong was talking to a few clan elders. When he heard that Sima Yue and the rest were here, he immediately got someone to bring them in. When Sima Yue saw Bei Gong Xiong, she asked anxiously, "Clan leader Bei Gong, the ingredients have already been sent over. When will we start refining the pills?" "Ah, I heard Xiao Yi say that someone was looking for young Master Siyu yesterday. I guess that someone from your clan had come." Bei Gong Xiong said with a smile, "I've already instructed those few alchemists to wait in the pill refining room." Bei Gong Xiong looked at Sima Yue with a burning gaze because Bei Gong Air did not disappoint him yesterday and brought back news about Sima Yue. When the Bei Gong clan found out that they were from the central regions, they were very excited and paid more attention to the pill refining this time. If they were successful, they might even be connected to the powers in the central regions. "We can't do it today," Sima Yue said. "The Buddha lotus hasn't arrived yet. Even if we go and get it today, it will only arrive tomorrow." "Then we'll wait for one more day," Bei Gong Xiong said. "All right, then we'll set it for the morning of the day after tomorrow." Sima Yue said, "I hope that we can start the day after tomorrow. I hope that the Bei Gong clan can inform the masters." "That's not a problem," Bei Gong Xiong replied. "Then I'll send someone to bring you to rest." "All right." It just so happened that Bei Gong Ao was around, so Bei Gong Xiong got him to send them to rest. Sima Yue did not say much along the way. When they passed by the abandoned courtyard, Sima Yue stopped and said, "Is this an abandoned courtyard?" "Yes. The Bei Gong clan actually has such an abandoned courtyard. It looks really out of place. Why didn't they tear it down and build something else? This was the place where my late wife lived. After she died, I was so heartbroken that I didn't dare to come here. I couldn't bear to erase her existence, so I just left it here. I didn't expect it to be in such a dilapidated state. Sigh my heart. Young Master Bei Gong and your late wife were really deeply in love," Sima Yue said ambiguously. "But why do I smell a medicinal fragrance?" Chapter 493. Bei Gong Ao's expression changed slightly. He had forgotten that Sima Yue was also an alchemist. He quickly smiled and said, "Maybe there are people refining pills in the surrounding courtyards." "That's true. Alchemy aristocratic families concoct pills everywhere." Sima Yue smiled and did not pursue the matter any further. This made Bei Gong Ao heave a sigh of relief. When they arrived at the place where Sima Yue and the rest were temporarily staying, Bei Gong Ao quickly left. The words that Sima Yue had said, whether intentionally or unintentionally, made him feel embarrassed. He thought that she had discovered something, but her behavior seemed to indicate otherwise. Sima Yue looked at Bei Gong Ao's back and thought about what he had just said. She felt disgusted. He was on the same level as Bei Gong Air. Sure enough, what kind of person raised what kind of daughter? She entered the courtyard and found the Goshawk King. She had him pretend to send someone back and pretend that he was going to retrieve the Buddha lotus. The Goshawk King signaled someone with his eyes and that person went out. He transformed into his true form and flew out of the city. When the Bei Gong clan saw the eagles leaving, they felt that they were definitely going to retrieve the Buddha lotus. They were even more convinced of Sima Yue's ability to concoct pills. After introducing Wu Lingyu and the Goshawk King, Sima Yue found a chair and sat down. She took out a spirit fruit and started munching on it. The Goshawk King looked at her unhurried expression and asked, "Did you really give the pill recipe to the Bei Gong clan?" "Yes." Sima Yue nodded. "You're really willing. I didn't say that what I gave was real. You gave me a fake?" The Goshawk King looked at her in surprise. "We were there when you gave her the pill recipe. That soft skin doesn't look like something from today. It's obviously from ancient times. That kind of thing can be made." Sima Yue said, "However, the authenticity of the pill formula is almost 90% certain. Otherwise, how could it scare those old fellows? I only changed a little bit. The slightest difference can lead to a huge loss. They can only stare at that pill formula and fret forever." The Goshawk King looked at Sima Yue speechlessly. After a while he said, "Everyone says that humans are cunning. It seems that they are right." "Wrong." Sima Yue shook the finger of the hand that was holding the spiritual fruit and said, "Not all humans are cunning. Some are cunning, some are simple, some are sometimes simple, and some are sometimes cunning. The Goshawk King shook his head. Humans are truly complicated. You're right. Sima Yue took a bite of the spirit fruit. Compared to the violence and simplicity of spirit beasts, humans are much more complicated. However, if you interact more with humans, you will find that humans are actually quite interesting. The Goshawk King shook his head. He did not listen to Sima Yue's words. Interacting with her was enough to show how cunning humans were. He already did not have any thoughts of interacting with humans. Once this matter was settled, he would bring his people back. Sima Yue saw the Goshawk King's expression and knew that he did not have such thoughts. However, she had only come here to seek help. Although he was willing to help her because of Little Rock, it was also a friendship. She could not force him. That's right. After this matter is settled, don't go back first. Stay for a while, she said. The Goshawk King nodded. He had heard Sima Yue's analysis. This matter could possibly involve the three powers of Autumn Moon City. When the time came, if there was a battle, he would have to appear to protect them. At night, Sima Yue let Little Roar go to the prison again to confirm Yin Lan and Bei Gong Hang's situation. At the same time, she told them that Bei Gong Tang would come the next day to ask for them. She would bring them out and let them prepare. Alright, actually they did not need to prepare. They just needed to mentally prepare themselves. Little Roar left after passing the message, leaving behind the extremely excited mother and son. At this moment, in another large courtyard of the Bei Gong family, Bei Gong Air was currently discussing something with her parents. Gu Yun Air furrowed her brows as she looked at her daughter, saying, "Do you really want to be with him?" Bei Gong Air nodded her head with certainty. "Mother, think about it. He's someone from the Central Regions. If I can follow him, wouldn't I be able to go to the Central Regions with him? And you guys can also form a relationship with that side. Mother, this is a good opportunity. Furthermore, he's so elegant and has such an amiable personality. Wouldn't it be my dream to be able to be with someone like this? But if you go so far away, it'll be hard for Mother to even see you." Gu Yun Air looked at her daughter with reluctance. Bei Gong Air's face was filled with dissatisfaction. "Mother, between being able to see me often and being able to go further, which do you think is more important?" "Mother, you can't delay your daughter's happiness just because you can't bear to part with her. Furthermore, don't you still have little brother after I leave? Isn't it the same if he stays by your side? If daughter wants to go, then let him go." Bei Gong Ao chimed in from the side saying, "Daughter likes it. I think that Siyu is a good person and is worthy of our little heir. Furthermore, if we can form a relationship with the Central Regions, our Bei Gong family status will be even higher. Look, the Earth Palace and the Bei Gong family have long been connected. Why didn't they make a move against the Yin family? It's because they have connections with the powers in the Central Regions. If we can form a relationship with them, we can destroy the Yin family. Isn't this your mother's wish?" "That's right, Mother. Look at how sensible Father is." Bei Gong Air smiled when she heard Bei Gong Ao's words. "Sai, since both of you think this way, then do as you wish," Gu Yun Air said helplessly. "Then Father will go find Siyu tomorrow to sound him out and see if he has any intentions." Bei Gong Ao said. "Thank you, Father. Then I'll head back first." Bei Gong Air left happily. No matter if Siyu had any intentions or not, she wanted to become his woman. It was fine if he was willing. If he wasn't, she would create an opportunity for him to have no choice but to marry her. "Man. Young Mississippi, go find Grandma's son for me. Tell her that I need those pills. Ask her to prepare 2 sets for me." The next morning, Bei Gong Ao came to find Sima Yue and asked someone to invite her over for tea. Sima Yue didn't know what Bei Gong Ao wanted to do, so she followed the person who came over. "Young Master Siyu, please have a seat." Bei Gong Ao waved his hand and invited Sima Yue to the seat opposite him. Sima Yue sat down unceremoniously and said, "I wonder why young Master Bei Gong called me over?" "Ah, it's nothing much. My father and grandfather told me to be a good host. I also thought that young Master Siyu and I hit it off, so I wanted to invite you over for tea." Bei Gong Ao smiled and said, "This is the Jade Dragon Snow Mountain Ginseng tea from the Central Regions. Young Master Siyu, try it." Young Master Bei Gong is too polite. Although the Jade Dragon Snow Mountain's ginseng tea isn't real ginseng, it's famous because it grows near ginseng. The entire Snow Mountain doesn't produce much in a year. I didn't think that I would be able to drink it here," she said as she took a sip, praising, "Good tea." When Bei Gong Tang heard her say that, she smiled even more happily. Most people would think that the Jade Dragon Snow Mountain's ginseng tea was brewed from ginseng. Only people from the central regions knew its true identity. Since she could say it so casually, it seemed like she really came from the central regions. Chapter 494. One of the reasons why he took out the ginseng tea from the Jade Dragon Snow Mountain was to verify if Sima Yue was from the inner regions. If she was, she should know the difference. New dagger, oddly new address. Young Lord Siyu looks very young, I wonder how old you are. Sima Yue lowered her head to drink her tea, her eyes flashing. What was this scumbag trying to do by asking her age? Could it be that he wanted to marry his daughter to her? Thinking back to when he said that the wine was prettier, she couldn't help but shiver. I'm 25. 25. Bei Gongao looked at Sima Yue. A 25-year-old who dared to travel so far, she would definitely be a big shot in the future. My daughter is 23 this year, so the age difference between the two of you isn't that big. Hee hee. She didn't want to reply and just laughed. I wonder if young Lord Siyu is married yet? Bei Gongao asked again. Sima Yue was extremely disgusted and muttered in her heart why Bei Gong Tang and the rest weren't here yet. I'm not married yet. Sima Yue said. My parents said that I'm still young and my temperament is not set yet. It's still too early to get married. Besides, we cultivators find it too early to get married at 100 years old. I don't want to let a woman control me so early. It's better to be alone and free. Bei Gongao wasn't an idiot and knew that Sima Yue was rejecting him. However, seeing that Bei Gong wasn't happy, he could only smile and say, the ancients said that to start a family first, then start a career. As a man, there's no such thing as sooner or later. I still have a few older brothers at home. They're not in a hurry, so I'm even less anxious. I still want to take advantage of my youth and travel around the continent. Sima Yue said. Bei Gongao didn't know what to say to Sima Yue. She had already made it so obvious, so he couldn't just stick to her. Looking at his daughter's expression, he sighed in his heart and continued to smile. Actually, I invited you to drink tea today because I have something to discuss with young Lord. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. Could it be that something went wrong with the alchemy? No. Bei Gongao raised his head and said, it's like this, my daughter fell in love with young Master Siyu at first sight, so I shamelessly came to ask for your opinion. Sima Yue's eyes widened. He really wanted to propose marriage to her, how disgusting. Cough cough, I've heard that young Master Bei Gong has 2 daughters. One is called Bei Gong Tang and the other is called Bei Gong Er. I wonder which little miss has taken a fancy to me. Bei Gongao was startled when he heard Bei Gong Tang's name. He immediately furrowed his brows. How did the other party know about Bei Gong Tang's matters? Without waiting for him to reply, Sima Yue continued, but no matter who it is, I don't want to get married. I've let you down. My daughter? Bei Gongao wanted to work hard for his daughter and praise how outstanding his daughter was. But before he could say anything, a guard hurriedly ran in and whispered a few words into his ear. What? Are you telling the truth? Bei Gongao looked at the guard in shock. Yes, they're already blocking the entrance. The clan head wants young master to go over quickly. The guard replied. Young master see you. Since young master Bei Gong has something to do, I'll head back first. Sima Yue stood up and said. Alright, I'll get someone to send you back. Bei Gongao waved his hand and a servant girl walked over, leading Sima Yue away. Bei Gong who was upstairs, heard Sima Yue's rejection and was furious. She thought of the medicine her servant girl brought back last night and said, I didn't want to use this method on you, but you forced me to. Young miss, it's bad, it's bad. Bei Gong personal servant girl hurriedly ran upstairs and shouted frantically. Shut up, I know it's bad. Bei Gong shouted at the servant girl. The servant girl was stunned. Young miss knew what happened outside, but young miss had always been in the backyard. How could she know what happened outside? Bei Gong saw that the servant girl was stunned and not saying anything and shouted, What are you standing there for? Hurry up and pour me some water. Are you dead? Yes, the servant will go immediately. The servant girl hurriedly went out to make tea. After a while, the servant girl brought in a cup of tea and placed it on the table saying, Young miss, please have some tea. Bei Gong picked up the tea and used the lid of the cup to stir the tea leaves saying, Father left in such a hurry. Did something happen? Doesn't young miss know? The servant girl said. I didn't even go out, how would I know? Bei Gong scolded. But when this servant came in just now, I said it was bad. Young miss said you knew it was bad. The servant girl said, feeling wronged. You still dare to quibble? Bei Gong stretched out a hand and grabbed the servant girl's arm, twisting it forcefully. Speak, what happened? It's Bei Gong Tang who came back. She said she wanted to take her mother and younger brother away. She's causing a ruckus outside the main gate. The servant girl said. Peng, Bei Gong air threw the scalding hot teacup in her hand onto the servant girl. She stood up and shouted, "Why didn't you say something so important earlier? Useless thing." After speaking, she hurriedly ran out. The servant girl did not have time to change her clothes and could only use her spiritual energy to dry her clothes before rushing out. It was a good thing that they were all cultivators, so this bit of scalding was not considered serious. Sima Yue followed the servant girl to the place where she lived. When she passed by the abandoned courtyard, she came behind the servant girl and took out a medicine bottle. The servant girl smelled a fragrance and did not have time to think before she collapsed. Sima Yue kept the servant girl into her spirit pagoda, then took out the mother-son stone and contacted Wu Lingyu. After that, she called out Little Roar and fused with him, entering the courtyard in a flash. Walking into the courtyard, Sima Yue recalled all the scarlet bees that were guarding the place. Then she entered the house and found the underground passageway, successfully entering it. The passageway was too dark. She released a wisp of flame and had it open a path in front of her, directly arriving at the side of the two prisons. Yin Lan and Bei Gong Hang had long heard the commotion. When they saw Sima Yue enter with a flame, they both stood up. "Andy, I'm here to save you guys. I'll attack the chains now. You guys stay back." Sima Yue said as she condensed her spiritual energy and attacked the chains. However, other than leaving a few marks on the chains, they did not break at all. This prison was made from 10,000-year-old black ice iron. Normal people would not be able to break it. Even I would not be able to do it. Yin Lan said. "How could I forget about this? If the chains cannot be broken, we will not be able to get out." "It's okay," Sima Yue said as she took out a wisp of scarlet flame. She placed it under the chains to burn. In a short while the chains melted. Clang. She removed the chains and opened the door, saying, "Auntie, come out first." After saying that, she went to burn Bei Gong Hang's chains. Yin Lan did not know what kind of flame Sima Yue was using. She was stunned for a moment before coming out of the door. After saving the two of them, she brought them out and ran towards the exit. Chapter 495. The three of them quickly arrived at the exit. Sima Yue was the first to dash out, then separated from Little Roar and retreated to the side. Little Roar ran to the exit and placed his claws on the enchantment. The enchantment turned into a blue halo. Burn Literature Library. "Come, Auntie, you can come up now." Yin Lan knew that there was a barrier here. Previously, she was still thinking of a way to get out of the barrier, but she never thought that Little Roar's gentle touch would render the barrier useless. As they had been trapped underground, Sima Yue asked them to close their eyes when they came out. She took out 2 ribbons and covered their eyes. "The northern palace is at the main entrance. Let's go out now," Sima Yue said. Although both of their eyes were closed, Yin Lan's divine senses were not weak. She held onto Bei Gong Hang's hand and followed Sima Yue without any hindrance. They walked out of the courtyard and saw Wu Lingyu, the Goshawk King, and the others waiting for them. There were a few Bei Gong clan members lying on the ground. Sima Yue smiled. "Thank you. Let's go. It's a mess outside," Wu Lingyu said. The main entrance of the Bei Gong clan had been bustling with noise and excitement since half an hour ago. The people who were watching the show were talking about the scandal of the Bei Gong clan that they had just heard about. After Bei Gong Tang and the others had finished their preparations in the morning, she followed Sima Yue's instructions and went to look for the Bei Gong clan. The group of people arrived at the Bei Gong clan's door in a grandiose manner. Bei Gong Tang stood outside the main door and looked at the 2 big words Bei Gong. The number of times she had walked through this door could be counted on one hand. When she was 3 years old, her mother had brought her out twice when she was still Bei Gong Ao's wife. Ever since Gu Yunair had married into the family, she had never stepped out of this place. When they escaped, they went to the back of the mountain. Home was a warm word, but this place had never given her any warmth. When the guard saw them standing in front of the gate, he asked coldly, "Who are you?" Bei Gong Tang kept her emotions and said to the guard, "I want to see Bei Gong Ao." "Who are you? Is young Master Ao's name something you can call?" The guard berated Bei Gong Tang. "It's not up to you to ask who I am. Hurry up and go report it. If there's no response in 10 minutes, I'll destroy your stone lions." Bei Gong Tang glanced at the stone lions on both sides of the door. "Arrogant people, you actually dare to behave atrociously in front of the Bei Gong clan. Come capture them." one of the guards roared. The guards at the gate weren't very strong to begin with, they were only elementary god kings. In less than 2 minutes they were all beaten to the ground. Hearing the commotion outside, a few more people ran out from the main door and confronted Bei Gong Tang and the others. What happened? A middle-aged man walked out of the door. Seeing that the guard had been beaten to the ground, he frowned and wanted to scold the other party. However, when he saw Bei Gong Tang he was stunned. Miss Tang? The person who came out was the steward of the Bei Gong clan, so he naturally recognized Bei Gong Tang. When she escaped, she was already over 10 years old. Her appearance had already been set. Now that she had grown up, she still looked the same as when she left that year. Steward Wan, you came at the right time. I'll have to trouble you to inform Bei Gong Ao that I, Bei Gong Tang, have returned. I want to bring my mother and younger brother away. Bei Gong Tang said. Miss Tang? The surrounding people who were watching the commotion originally thought that she was here to cause trouble, but now it didn't seem like it. Steward Wan instructed the person beside him, and that person quickly went in to report. He cupped his hands towards Bei Gong Tang, saying, I didn't think that Miss Tang would still be alive. Since you've returned home, how could you be outside? Please follow this old servant in. Your father and the others have missed you very much these past few years. Bei Gong Tang laughed mockingly, saying, They have indeed missed me very much. However, I'm afraid that only you know what kind of feelings they have for me. Since I escaped that time, I never thought of stepping through this door again. Miss Tang, even broken bones are still connected. No matter what, you're still the Bei Gong clan's Mississippi. Although you've done so many bad things back then, the clan won't blame you. They're still willing to let you return. For you to cause trouble here, have you ever thought of the clan? Steward Wan said. Hee. Bei Gong Tang looked at Steward Wan. Steward Wan's mouth is still so eloquent. Your ability to turn black into white and red into green hasn't deteriorated at all. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. My purpose for coming today is to bring my mother and younger brother away. Miss Tang, I'm afraid that won't do. Your mother and younger brother have already died a few years ago. Steward Wan said sorrowfully. Before they died, they even told young Master Ao that if you came back one day, they would definitely treat you well. Now that you've returned, how could you not enter the clan? If she didn't know that Yin Lan and the others were still alive, Bei Gong Tang might have really believed his words when she saw his sorrowful expression. See, the people who were watching the commotion believed him. Miss Tang, could it be that the daughter of the Yin clan's miss who married Bei Gong Ao that year, Bei Gong Tang? Didn't I hear that she did something wrong and wasn't willing to accept the punishment, so she secretly ran away? Why did she come back today? Didn't you hear him say that he came to pick up his mother and younger brother? Sigh, it's a pity that they're already dead. What's the use of coming back now? If he had come back a few years earlier, he might have been able to meet them. Bei Gong Tang stood 10 meters away from the Bei Gong clan's main door. No matter what Steward Wan said, she refused to move or enter. This made Steward Wan very angry. He didn't think that Bei Gong Tang would actually come back after running away for so many years. She even came with such great fanfare to ask for people. He originally thought that it was just a girl. As long as he could trick her into entering the clan, wouldn't it be up to them to decide how to deal with her? Cripple her, kill her, or imprison her. The outside world would believe whatever they said. However, she refused to enter the clan, so his plan had to be put on hold. After a while, a few people from the Bei Gong clan walked out. They saw that the outside was filled with people who were pointing at the Bei Gong clan. The leader, Bei Gong Xiong, had an ugly expression. What are you standing at the door for? Come in and talk. Bei Gong Tang looked at Bei Gong Xiong. It had been so many years, but this great-grandfather of hers hadn't changed at all. He was still so snobbish and arrogant. With regards to what he said just now, she treated it as if his smelly fart had polluted the air. She didn't even give a single response. Bei Gong Tang, as the fourth-generation young miss of the clan, if you continue to be like this, be careful of the clan's rules. An elder berated. Haven't I been removed from the clan a long time ago? I'm no longer the young miss of your clan. You still want to use the clan's rules on me? Bei Gong Tang fearlessly faced them and said word by word, I've said it before. After I escaped from the Bei Gong clan, I never thought of stepping into the Bei Gong clan's main door again. I'm here today to pick up my mother and younger brother. You better hand them over. Otherwise, even if I have to risk my life, I'll make the Bei Gong clan lose a piece of flesh. Chapter 496. Bei Gongxiong's expression turned even uglier. In all these years, no one had dared to speak to him like that. Especially those juniors, each and every one of them was obedient and sensible in front of him. She was the first one to contradict and even threaten him like this. He had seen this girl before. Although she was very stubborn, she was not so strong. She had changed a little after escaping for so many years. However, he didn't like this at all. Steward 1 has already told you that your mother and brother died a few years ago. It's useless for you to keep harping on this. If you still want to be a member of the Beigong clan, then come in. Don't embarrass me outside. He reprimanded. The news of my mother's death was just an excuse that you used to fool my uncle a few years ago. Do you think that I would believe it? Beigong Tang looked at Beigong Xiong. Tell me, do you believe your own words? That's the truth. Facts? The truth is that you schemed against my mother and forced her to marry Beigong Ao in an attempt to obtain the Yin family's secret alchemy technique from her. It's a pity that my mother knew of your wild ambitions and never gave you the secret technique. That's why she was tortured, beaten, and forced by you for all these years. Beigong Tang sneered. After a few years, you realized that there was no way to get the secret technique from my mother, so you let Beigong Ao marry the daughter of the Earth Palace's palace master, Gu Yunair. From then on, the three of us, mother and children, had a difficult life. Beatings and scoldings were common occurrences, and injuries were common occurrences. Don't tell me that even the head of the Beigong family doesn't know about this. You evil girl, I'll destroy you. Beigong Ao rushed over and heard her words. He was so angry that he attacked her with a palm. Honor Rock quickly came to Beigong Tang's side. With a wave of his hand, that attack was scattered. Beigong Tang looked at Honor Rock gratefully. When Sima Yue left, she left Ninth Rock and Honor Rock behind to protect them. What? You don't want me to expose your family's scandal to the world? Is that why you're in such a hurry to silence me? She looked at Beigong Ao, who tried to kill her as soon as he came out, and laughed coldly. Even a vicious tiger will not eat its cubs. You watched as Gu Yunair and Beigong Air tried to kill me all those years ago, and you tried to kill me as soon as we met today. This only proves one thing: you're worse than an animal. Wicked girl. How could I have given birth to such an evil daughter like you? Beigong Ao scolded. He was so angry that his face turned red. How did you give birth to it? I'm afraid I'll have to ask you how you schemed against my mother. Don't you know this the best? Beigong Tang said sarcastically. Seeing Beigong Ao's red face, she smiled brightly. Why, seeing how angry you are you regretting that you didn't get rid of me back then? Today, it's not too late for me to place righteousness before family. I'll just pretend that I never gave birth to such an evil girl. As he spoke, Beigong Ao wanted to kill Beigong Tang again. Honor Rock stood in front of Beigong Tang. Beigong Ao's hand movements immediately froze. The other party had immobilized him with just a glance. The four-winged rocks of the southern continent. Beigong Xiong looked at Ninth Rock and said, "This 1,000-year tortoise is a 10,000-year-old turtle. After living for so long, his knowledge and experience are indeed different. Isn't that right, Zichi?" Fatty Chu and the others had been watching quietly all this while and only spoke up at this moment. The surrounding people were amused by his words. Beigong Xiong looked at Honor Rock and said, "Your southern continent's hands have stretched too far. You actually came to the central region to show off." Our king said that he would fully support young Miss Beigong to come back and save her mother. Honor Rock said coldly, not putting the Beigong clan in his eyes. That contemptuous tone made the Beigong clan's faces turn ugly. Although the four-winged rocks were in the southern continent, they were very powerful. Most people were not willing to go against them. There was once someone in the northern seventh continent who offended them. In the end, they turned out in full force. The entire clan went to the northern seventh continent and turned the other party's family upside down. From then on, the four-winged rock's reputation spread. We've already said that her mother is already dead. If you want her now, we can't hand her over at all. Is that so? But I've received news that my younger sister and the others are still alive. However, they've been imprisoned in the underground prison for many years. A voice came from behind the crowd. Everyone opened up a path. Yin Hao brought a few people from behind the crowd and walked over. Yin Hao, what are you doing here? Beigong Ao glared at the person who walked over. I heard that my niece came back to pick up my older sister. Naturally, I came to see if there's anything I can help with. Yin Hao said, that year I asked to see my younger sister, but you told me that she was already dead. Hearing my niece say this today, it seems that they were bullied by you a lot that year. Although the clan is very angry that my younger sister married Beigong Ao, she's still my Yin clan's young miss. Shouldn't you give me an explanation? Also, is my younger sister alive or dead? Uncle. Bei Gong Tang shouted at Yin Hao. Be good. The Yin clan's group of old farts have been muddle-headed for so many years. They're finally not muddle-headed today. Do whatever you want to do. Don't be afraid. Uncle will support you. Yin Hao patted Bei Gong Tang's head. Bei Gong Tang felt a strange feeling in her heart. It was different from the warmth she got from Yue and the others. It was a kind of kinship. It was another kind of kinship that she felt other than her mother and younger brother. Yin Hao, don't think that you can spout nonsense here just because you're from a power in the inner regions. My Bei Gong clan has never done anything to let down the mother and son. Someone from the Bei Gong clan shouted. That's right. You've brought people here. Do you want to declare war on our Bei Gong clan? An elder said, I'm afraid that if old man Yin finds out, he might even chase you out of the clan. Yin Hao took out a command tablet and said, I'm here representing the Yin clan. My words are the Yin clan's words. The old fart in the clan said that if I don't bring my younger sister back today, I'll just take this command tablet and kill myself. Uncle? Bei Gong Tang looked at Yin Hao in shock. This was different from what they had discussed. When I went back, I met the old fart and told him about this. Maybe he understood and found his conscience again. He asked me to bring you home. Bring you home. Bei Gong Tang chewed on these two words. It was clearly a very simple and warm word, but she had never felt it before. We've already said that they're dead. If you don't believe us, you can go in and search for them yourselves. Bei Gong Xiong said. You've hidden them so well. We won't be able to find them even if we go in. However, we've already sent people to rescue them. Once they're out, they'll have nothing to do with your Bei Gong clan. Bei Gong Tang said, From now on we'll sever all ties with your Bei Gong clan. Chirp dash, as if to match her words, an eagle's cry came from the Bei Gong clan. Following that, an eagle flew towards the main door from the back of the mountain. Seeing the person sitting on it, Bei Gong Xiong and the others narrowed their eyes. Chapter 497. Seeing the person on the eagle, Bei Gong Air's expression changed again and again, while Bei Gong Tang's eyes were filled with tears. Burn carrot 1 carrot library. Calm. Wonderful. Oriental. Literary. A member high hand fight. Sima Yue and the rest came to the entrance and saw the tens of thousands of onlookers. She smiled and said, Bei Gong, we have brought your mother back. The Falcon King placed them on the ground, then transformed into his human form and stood behind the Falcon King. Mother. Bei Gong Tang threw herself into her mother's embrace. Although Yin Lan's face was still covered with gauze and they hadn't seen each other for so long, she still recognized her immediately. Yin Lan's divine sense had already reached the point where it could replace her eyes, but when she felt the real warmth of her daughter whom she had missed day and night, and heard the words mother, that she had not heard for a long time, she could not help but take off the gauze. She had not seen sunlight for a long time. Although she had adapted to it for a while, when she pulled off the gauze, she still felt that the strong light was too dazzling. She subconsciously squinted her eyes. Mother, you haven't seen Bai Guang in so many years. How can you remove the gauze? Bei Gong Tang picked up the gauze and was about to cover her. Mother is fine. I can still withstand this bit of light. Mother wants to see you. Yin Lan used her spiritual energy, allowing her eyes to slowly open. Seeing Bei Gong Tang, who had already grown up, her eyes could not help but redden. She reached out a hand to touch her face, saying emotionally, Good, very good. Mother is finally alive to see you again. Bei Gong Tang stretched out her hand and placed it on the back of Yin Lan's hand. She rubbed her face against Yin Lan's palm and said, Mother, daughter is back. Elder sister. Bei Gong Hang's strength was much weaker, so he did not dare to take off the bandage on his face. However, his divine sense had grown quite a bit after being imprisoned for so many years, so he was able to see Bei Gong Tang's current situation. It was just that it was not as clear as what he could see with his eyes. Bei Gong Tang came out from Yin Lan's embrace and hugged Bei Gong Hang, saying, Younger brother, it's been hard on you. Back then, when little uncle came, he said that he could only take one person with him. She wanted Bei Gong Hang to leave, but in the end, Bei Gong Hang pushed her to little uncle's side. At that time, the situation was urgent. Her uncle grabbed her and ran away. I always believed that big sister would come back to save us. Bei Gong Hang smiled innocently. Yes, elder sister is back. If there's anything in the future, just leave it to big sister. Bei Gong Tang released Bei Gong Tang and patted his shoulder while crying and laughing. When Sima Yue heard Bei Gong Tang's words, a bitter taste spread in her mouth. She raised her face slightly, not allowing her emotions to spread. She also wanted to tell him that her sister was back and that he could leave everything to her in the future. When Yin Hao saw that Yin Lan and Bei Gonghang were still alive, he was also very moved. However, when he saw Bei Gongtang's emotional state, he could only restrain his emotions and say to the Bei Gong clan, "Didn't you say that my younger sister and nephew died? Then who was this person?" Family head Bei Gong, "My Yin family needs a reasonable explanation." When the commoners saw Yin Lan and Bei Gonghang appear alive in front of everyone, they looked at them with mocking expressions. They had said that they were dead at least 4 times just now. They had been so confident before, but now they had been slapped in the face. Everyone seemed to have heard the sound of slapping. At this point, the Bei Gong clan had nothing to say about this. If they had not seen Yin Lan and Bei Gonghang, they would have said that they were dead. However, now that the dead people had appeared, it was useless no matter what they said. Bei Gongxiong immediately turned his furious gaze to Sima Yue and asked sternly, "Young Master Sima Yue, what do you mean by this?" They had always treated her with respect and treated her as an important guest. However, she had done such a thing. It was obvious that her motive for entering the Bei Gong clan was not simple. Sima Yue smiled and replied, "Family head Bei Gong, I'm not called Siyu. I'm Sima Yue. I grew up with Bei Gong Tang." With such an explanation, what was there to not understand? The pill refining is fake. Bei Gongxiong looked at her hatefully. "Otherwise, why would you let us in? If we didn't go in, how would we have saved the mother and son?" Sima Yue said faintly. This family's skin was really thick. Right now they were not thinking about how to explain it to everyone, but were blaming her for saving them. "Goshawk King, your Goshawk clan has never interacted with others. Why are you willing to be the accomplice of such a despicable person?" The Goshawk King glanced at Bei Gongxiong. "I'm following my king's orders." "King. Could it be the golden-winged rock that appeared in the southern continent?" An elder said. "How long does your Bei Gong clan intend to ignore my Yin clan?" Yin Hao's face was cold, emitting a bone-piercing chill. "A few years ago I asked to see my younger sister and nephew. You said that they were dead. Now they are alive and well in front of me. Bei Gongxiong, I respect you as the head of the clan. However, if you don't give a reasonable explanation, my Yin clan will definitely not let this matter rest. Yin Lan had already married into my Bei Gong clan 20 years ago. She is now a member of my Bei Gong clan. Do we still need to report to you outsiders how we deal with our own clan members?" Bei Gongxiong twisted logic, wanting to gain the initiative by striking first. "My mother was only married to Bei Gong Ao because of your scheme. Furthermore, Bei Gong Ao and my mother no longer had any relationship as husband and wife. He was no longer a member of your Bei Gong clan." Bei Gong Tang said as she looked at Bei Gongxiong. "Did you hear that? My younger sister was no longer a member of your Bei Gong clan. However, your Bei Gong clan has always been torturing and imprisoning her. Today you must give us an explanation. Otherwise, my Yin clan will not let you off." "Brother." Yin Lan called out emotionally when she saw Yin Hao like this. "Don't be afraid. That old fellow told me to bring you back. He won't ignore you anymore." Yin Hao said. Yin Lan did not have much hatred towards the Yin clan. After all, she was the one who insisted on marrying Bei Gong Ao. At that time, the people in the clan had said that if she married Bei Gong Ao, her life and death would have nothing to do with the Yin clan. She never thought that Yin Hao would represent the Yin clan to save her. "Bei Gong, since we've already saved her, let's leave first," Sima Yue said. "Okay." Their goal today was to bring her away. Initially they were worried that they weren't strong enough. That was why they dragged the Yin clan along. It would be a little safer. Now that he had brought the entire Yin clan, it wouldn't be difficult for them to leave. "Mother, let's leave first. We'll settle our debts with them in the future," Bei Gong Tang said. "As long as you come back, we can slowly talk about the past." Yin Lan held her daughter's hand and said. She wouldn't say that it was over. She definitely wouldn't say that she would write off the past debts. Those debts, she would slowly settle them in the future. A group of people came out from the Bei Gong clan and surrounded them, not allowing them to leave. "Yin Lan is still a member of my Bei Gong clan. You can't take her away," Bei Gong Ao said. The Bei Gong clan had done too many bad things to them. If those things were to spread, how would the Bei Gong clan be able to establish themselves in Autumn Moon City? So, even if they had to fall out with the Goshawk King, they definitely couldn't let them leave. Chapter 498. Burn Literature Library. Hearing Bei Gong Ao's words, Yin Lan could not hide the anger in her heart. She said, "I'm no longer a member of your Bei Gong clan. Ever since you took Gu Yun for your own benefits, we no longer have any relationship. Ramwon Library, 7764. Ao and I love each other. Gu Yun said from the side. You, on the other hand, shamelessly destroyed our relationship and even plotted to marry Ao. Unfortunately, Ao isn't someone you can get with just a little scheming. Ha ha ha. Yin Lan laughed loudly, her face full of sarcasm as she said, Do you really think I'm still that fool from back then? Would they still believe that you, Baigong Ao, were a hero who saved the damsel in distress back then? Back then you guys were the ones who set up the show. Those people who molested me were just hired by you guys. I was foolish back then and didn't see the truth clearly. That's why I wanted to marry you at all costs. Didn't you want the Yin clan's secret alchemy technique? Unfortunately, you've locked me up for so many years and made me refine pills thousands of times, but you still haven't learned it. Shut up. When Baigong Ao saw that Yin Lan had revealed all of this, he panicked and said to the guards surrounding them, Capture the three of them. The people of my Baigong family are not allowed to leave this place. Let's see who dares to move. Sima Yue stood beside Baigong Tang and the others, saying, I've seen shameless people before, but I've never seen anyone as shameless as the Baigong clan. Baigong, take your mother and leave first. Baigong Tang nodded. She supported Yin Lan and pulled Baigong Hang to leave. Stop them. As soon as Baigong Xiong spoke, a group of god emperors flew out from the courtyard and stopped Yin Lan and the others. Third brother, it seems like you can't do it. They don't even respect you, said a joking voice. Everybody looked towards the source of the voice and saw a sloppy young man with a group of people. There was no lack of godly emperors among them. Yin Hao saw his younger brother Yin Shi and said, Why are you here? Old Master said that although little sister was in the wrong, the family has forgiven her now that she has come back to life. The Baigong family always does some shameless things. They were afraid that you wouldn't be able to handle it, so they asked me to bring people to bring you back. Yin Shi's roguish words made the onlookers who were hiding far away laugh. Looks like your Yin clan is planning to shed all pretense of cordiality with my Baigong clan. Since that's the case, we're not afraid of starting a war with you. No one is allowed to leave. Baigong Xiong said. Bah, you old bastard. You're shameless to a whole new level. In the entire Autumn Moon City, only you old bastard can do this. Even the head of the family is like this. No wonder the whole family is like this. Yin Shi was much better at scolding people than Yin Hao. What, are you comparing numbers? Do you think your family is the only one with people? I don't see anyone in your house. Not a single person? Was he saying that the Baigong clan was inhumane? What are you waiting for? Baigong Xiong yelled at those people. Baigong clan's guards immediately fought with the people Yin Shi brought. For a moment there were spiritual attacks everywhere. Although Yin Shi didn't bring many people, their strength wasn't low. They actually killed a lot of Baigong clan's guards. However, this was Baigong clan's territory after all. After killing a batch, another batch of people came up. However, the Yin clan didn't. Thus, they gradually fell into a disadvantage. Third brother, hold on. Big brother will bring people over soon. Yin Shi said. Sima Yue and the rest didn't make a move. Their strength was too low. They could only stand in the protective barrier and watch the situation outside. Ninth Rock wouldn't let these little dolls go out and take risks. Seeing the Yin clan's weakness, Sima Yue planned to let the Goshawk King make a move. Otherwise the casualties would be too serious. Goshawk King, what's going on? A group of people ran over from the corner of the street. Seeing the two clans fighting, they shouted. The Earth Palace's people are here. The onlookers said. Sima Yue didn't care whether the Earth Palace belonged to the Earth Palace or not. She said to the Goshawk King, I'll still have to trouble you guys. The Goshawk King understood Sima Yue's meaning. He gave a look to the person beside him. That person immediately transformed into his original form and flew into the sky, chirping twice. Once they heard the chirping, the two clans stopped. Not good. Baigong Xiong's expression changed. Today's matter was probably out of their control. Chirp, a group of goshawks flew over from outside the city. They were majestic. Looking from below, it was as if half the sky was covered. Baigong Tang saw the group of goshawks and her face lit up. She looked at Sima Yue gratefully. The goshawks didn't land after they flew into the sky. Instead they circled in the air. Goshawk King, do you really want to become enemies with the human race? Baigong Xiong purposely dragged the entire human race into this in an attempt to pressure him. There was a world of difference between becoming enemies with a clan and becoming enemies with the entire human race. I'm only in charge of protecting my king. The Goshawk King replied indifferently. Sima Yue called out Little Rock. The goshawks in the sky all chirped, paying their respects to Little Rock. Even the Goshawk King bowed to him. Little Rock waved his hand to get the Goshawk King to stand up. Then he looked at Beigong Xiong and said, "Whoever dares to touch my contracted master will become enemies with the entire bird clan. If you don't believe me, you can try." Wu Lingyu saw Little Rock's domineering attitude and looked at Sima Yue. He raised his eyebrows in praise. Not bad, this little bird's training was not bad. Sima Yue saw his gaze and despised him in her heart. She said to Beigong Xiong, "Patriarch Beigong, are you still going to block our way?" Beigong Xiong's face turned the color of pig liver. He couldn't say a single word. "Oh my, you should have said so earlier that you had such a strong support. I was so scared just now that I broke out in cold sweat." She pretended to wipe the non-existent cold sweat off his forehead. "Since Patriarch Beigong isn't stopping us, we'll be leaving." Fatty Chu shouted, giving the Beigong clan a slap. Ninth Rock removed the barrier and everyone left the Beigong clan openly. Even though they were already quite far away, they could still feel the murderous gazes behind them. The Beigong clan's faces were ugly. Although they were unwilling, what could they say? They weren't allowed to leave? The goshawks in the sky directly attacked them. If it was just a few tens of them, it would have been fine. But there were hundreds and thousands of them. How could they be their opponents? The Goshawk King left with Little Rock. The goshawks in the sky followed them, personally sending them to the Een clan in the north of the city. She watched as the goshawks gradually disappeared into the distance. He sighed, "I never thought that I would have the experience of being protected by the Goshawk clan. Not bad, not bad." The Goshawk King personally sent them back. There was even a group of goshawks escorting them. The Een clan's head even came out to welcome them. Seeing her once familiar family, Een Lan subconsciously grabbed Bei Gong Tang's hand. Bei Gong Tang patted Een Lan's hand saying, "Mother, the Een clan has ignored us all these years. They already don't treat you as a family. Although we did our part today, if you don't want to go back, we don't have to. We'll find a chance to repay the favor today." Chapter 499. Burn Literature Library. Xiaolan is a member of the Een family. Now that she has left the Beigong family, how can she not return to the Een family? A middle-aged woman wearing a dark red dress walked over and took Een Lan's hand saying, "You're already at the door, how can you not go home? Auntie has already sent someone to clean up your old courtyard. You will still be living there in the future." Dancing Ruo first, "Is this cousin Tang?" A girl walked over and smiled as she pulled Bei Gong Tang's hand saying, "I'm your cousin Fei Fei. Let's go, I'll bring you to see the courtyard where little aunt used to live." As she spoke, she pointed at Shi. What a joke. Een Lan and the others were treasures now. If they severed their relationship with the Een family, then how would they be able to establish a relationship with the Goshawk clan in the future? Also, the contract master of the Rocks King was also their good friend. If it wasn't for them, this person definitely wouldn't care about the Een clan. For the benefit of the family, Een Lan cannot leave the family. How could Bei Gong Tang and the others not see through these people's thoughts? However, it was a good thing that there were people in the clan who were truly happy for the mother and children, so they didn't care about these things. The main thing was that Een Lan was not calculative and was willing to come back, while Bei Gong Tang was merely following her mother's wishes. Sima Yue and the rest were welcomed into the residence as honored guests. They were also given individual courtyards to rest in. The treatment was quite good. Bei Gong Tang had not returned yet. After everyone rested for a while, Yu left the Een family alone. She went to the inn last night, but received news that Shimin Feng had already paid the bill and left. She left the inn dejectedly and walked down the street in a daze. He had clearly recognized her, so why did he leave? He even left in the middle of the night. She was afraid that he would pay the bill and leave after she left. It was fine if he didn't want to acknowledge her, but why did he have to avoid her? Feng, don't tell me you're not going to recognize me for the rest of your life? She felt terrible and didn't know where to find him. Suddenly, someone grabbed his arm and pulled him to a stop. "You're going to hit another tree if you keep walking." Wu Lingyu's voice came from behind. Sima Yue turned around and looked at Wu Lingyu. This time, his expression was no longer one of mockery. Instead, it was one of worry. "Senior brother, why are you here?" "I saw you come out, so I followed you." Wu Lingyu said, "Who knew that you would be in a daze after coming out of the inn? You're going to bump into a tree again." Only then did Sima Yue realize that she was only a few centimeters away from the tree by the roadside. "Thank you, senior brother." What's wrong with you? I didn't realize you were so muddle-headed before, Wu Lingyu said. Nothing. She shook her head, but in her mind she recalled the scene of Shimin Feng strangling her neck last night. Oh. Only then did she remember that something was wrong last night. Shimin Feng's strength wasn't that high. Judging from his aura last night, he was at least a monarch rank or above. However, when he died he had just reached divine ancestor rank. How could he have improved so much in 10 years? His strength was too strange. Moreover, that bone-chilling temperature was not normal for a person, which meant that his body was not normal. Damn it, why didn't I notice it last night? Sima Yue scolded herself. They had heard of many methods to forcefully increase one's strength, but those methods were often harmful to the body. Shimin Feng's strength had increased by leaps and bounds. If it was normal cultivation it would be fine. However, if it wasn't, then it would be troublesome. However, with that cold temperature, she couldn't convince herself that it was normal cultivation. She had to find him. If something happened to him, she felt that she wouldn't be able to bear a second parting. Perhaps this was the reason why he had refused to acknowledge her. Wu Lingyu saw that Sima Yoyue's expression had changed from sadness and disappointment to anxiety, and asked, "What's wrong?" "Go back and tell Bei Gong and the others that I have something to do and will be leaving for a while. If I don't come back I'll see you at the auction." She was about to run away. "Wait, I'll go with you," Wu Lingyu said as he grabbed her. "No need." "Alright then, you come with me." Sima Yue originally didn't want Wu Lingyu to know that she had obtained something, but she thought that Mo Sha already knew and he would know when they merged. Moreover, she wasn't very familiar with the outer regions, so it would be good to have someone by her side. As she walked, she took out the Mother-Son stone and contacted Sima Lai. When they found out that she was leaving, everyone was very surprised and wanted to go with her. "You guys stay at the Yin residence." Sima Yue directly rejected them. "Bei Gong has just returned to the clan and needs you guys to support her. If I don't go to the auction then we'll meet at the Heavenly Sect. Senior will be with me so you guys don't have to worry about me. That's all for now, I'm hanging up." After she finished speaking, she cut off the connection and walked to the inn. She went in with Wu Lingyu. The innkeeper saw that Sima Yue had just left and came back in. He didn't wait for her to ask and said, "Didn't I just tell you that the masked man had already checked out and left this morning before the sun rose?" Sima Yue directly placed a mid-ranked crystal on the counter. "We want to know, where will they go after leaving this place?" The innkeeper looked at the mid-ranked crystal and thought for a while. He shook his head and said, "I really don't know. The waiter just happened to pass by them and said, I was also there in the morning. I heard the girl with him say that they were going to the neighboring U city." "Are you sure?" Sima Yue asked. At that time, the two of them had already paid the bill and were a bit far away, so I didn't hear it clearly. The waiter said. "Thank you." Sima Yue placed the mid-ranked crystal in the waiter's arms and turned to leave. The waiter saw that he had received a mid-ranked crystal and was a bit stunned. When he saw that Sima Yue was about to look for him, he said, "Oh right, I heard that they didn't use the teleportation portal and took flying beasts." Sima Yue was startled. That's right, Feng was also dizzy from teleportation portals like her. If the distance was not far, he would not take the teleportation portal. "In which direction is U City?" "Northwest. It's not far. If you take flying beasts you will arrive in 10 days. The waiter said. "Thank you." Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu went out of the city and then chased along the northwest direction. Originally, they thought that Shimin Feng had left half a day earlier than them and should be able to catch up very quickly. The speed of eagles was one of the best among the rocks. However, they had chased for 7 to 8 days and didn't see him. It made her think that she had missed them. Finally, when they were about to reach U City, Sima Yue caught up with them. Moreover, it was because they had an argument with someone and were confronting the other party in the valley. Seeing that there were dozens of people on the other side and that the eagle was too big of a target, Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu came down from afar. Then Wu Lingyu brought her to fly nearby and hid in the dark to observe. Chapter 500. I don't care who you are. Since you dared to attack the people of the Yin Yang Palace, we will find you even if you run to the ends of the earth. Dozens of people surrounded Shimin Feng and Kong Sangyi. Each and every one of them had a murderous look on their face. Their strength was not low. It seemed like they knew that Shimin Feng was strong, so they sent so many people to kill them. Everyone from the Yin Yang Palace should die, and so should you. Shimin Feng's hoarse voice was filled with endless hatred. Yin Yang Palace? Sima Yue's heart skipped a beat. Then she was filled with hatred. Wu Lingyu saw her change and was a little curious. Did this girl have some grudge with the Yin Yang Palace? How dare you try to kill us here? You've got guts, Kong Sengyi scolded the people of Yin Yang Palace. Kong Sengyi, don't think that just because you're the young miss of ancient Kong Ming, we won't dare to do anything to you. Your Yin Yang Palace is just a mediocre force. How dare you attack us? Although Kong Sengyi was young and had been pestering Shimin Feng, he was still very dignified in front of outsiders. It was you who killed our branch hall master first. We are only here to take revenge. That person said. He deserves to die. Shimin Feng said as he took out a long sword, you all deserve to die too. As he spoke, he directly attacked those people. Sima Yue looked on nervously, afraid that he would be hurt. But later he saw that his strength was about the same as those people, but his fighting strength was stronger and his attacks were more ruthless. Moreover, his spiritual power and yin qi did not look like his previous martial arts. The doubts in his heart continued to deepen. What exactly had Feng experienced all these years? There were a few people who didn't move from their original positions. It seemed like they didn't intend to make a move earlier and were only here to boost their morale. However, when they saw that they were unable to deal with two people despite having so many people, they became anxious. Two of them attacked together. Kong Sengyi's martial arts were a little strange. Although his strength wasn't high, he was able to hold back a lot of people. However, he couldn't free himself to help Shimin Feng. Sima Yue saw that two monarch rank people attacked. Shimin Feng's strength was limited, and he was unable to fight 10 people. In a short period of time he was severely injured. Sima Yue saw that Shimin Feng was injured and became anxious. She got up and wanted to rush over. What are you doing? Wu Lingyu saw that Sima Yue didn't care and pulled her back. Sima Yue said Yue SSS. You are. Sima Yue said. But I can't just watch him get injured. Sima Yue shouted. I've already lost him once. I can't lose him a second time. Wu Lingyu didn't understand what Sima Yue meant. However, he understood that she was nervous and anxious. He said helplessly, wait here. After speaking, he called out Fire Qilin and said, you go. The Fire Qilin nodded and immediately attacked over there, saving Shimin Feng as soon as he arrived. Fire Qilin. It wasn't just the people from Yin Yang Palace. Even Shimin Feng was shocked by the sudden appearance of this person. Fire Qilin, isn't this the contracted beast of His Highness Holy Sun? Someone said. Could it be that His Highness Holy Sun is here? I think His Highness Holy Sun is nearby and was attracted by the commotion. The people from Yin Yang Palace said, but it doesn't matter. Our Yin Yang Palace is attached to the Sage Pavilion. Kong Sengyi took the opportunity when everyone stopped and ran to Shimin Feng's side. He supported him and asked anxiously, are you all right? Shimin Feng pulled his hand away and looked at Fire Qilin cautiously, I will try to stop them in a while. You look for an opportunity to leave. How can I leave you here alone? Kong Sengyi grabbed Shimin Feng's hand, since I came out with you, I will live and die with you. I will not leave. Sima Yue looked at Kong Sengyi from afar. She had heard of this person before and his reputation wasn't very good. However, when she saw him this time, she nodded her head satisfactorily. At the same time she was secretly happy. Fenger must have suffered in his heart all these years. If he had such a person by his side, it would be a ray of light in the darkness. Fire Qilin, is His Highness Holy Sun here? Fire Qilin glanced at them and said, yes, my master sent me here, to kill you all. After speaking he started to attack the people from Yin Yang Palace. He understood his master's intentions. Once he attacked, these people had to be killed. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if news of this spread to the Sage Pavilion. Sima Yue was still unable to tell Fire Qilin's rank until now. However, she knew that his rank was definitely not low. Otherwise, Shimin Feng would not have been killed by him in just 2 or 3 moves just now. Fire Qilin Yu. When the people from Yin Yang Palace saw Fire Qilin attack, they were all shocked. They immediately reacted and scattered in all directions. Ping, those who ran away were killed by Wu Lingyu. Even when they died, they didn't understand why Wu Lingyu would attack them. Sima Yue saw Wu Lingyu attack. This was the first time she saw him kill people. He didn't show any mercy and his movements were extremely graceful. It didn't look like he was killing people at all. Instead, it looked like he was doing something very elegant. And she didn't know what he used to hide his strength. No one could tell his rank. Kong Sengyi looked at Wu Lingyu in shock, saying, Shimin Feng, are my eyes playing tricks on me? Is he helping us? Is he really the Holy Son of the Sage Pavilion? No. Shimin Feng looked at Wu Lingyu not knowing what he meant. Why? The last person to fall looked at Wu Lingyu unwillingly. Wu Lingyu descended from the sky and looked at Sima Yue saying, "She wants you dead, so I naturally can't let you live. Who asked you to touch someone you shouldn't have?" That person wanted to look at Sima Yue. Who exactly was it that he was protecting? But he didn't see who she was until he took his last breath. Shimin Feng followed Wu Lingyu's line of sight. When he saw Sima Yue, his body shook and began to tremble. "Thank you, Holy Sun, for saving us today. I will definitely repay you for saving my life. Goodbye." He cupped his hands towards Wu Lingyu and turned to leave. Sima Yue saw that he was about to escape again and shouted, "Shimin Feng, if you leave again, don't call me sister in the future. I don't have a brother like you. I will go to the Yin-Yang Palace tomorrow and pay for my mistakes. But whether I live or die, I don't think you care." Shimin Feng stopped in his tracks and turned around, looking at her with a complicated expression. Sima Yue didn't say anything and just looked at him. After a long time, Shimin Feng called out weakly, "Sister." Chapter 501. Sima Yue's tears fell uncontrollably when she heard Sima Yue calling out to her in a hoarse voice. On the other hand, Kong Sengyi's mouth was agape. His bright eyes were filled with disbelief. Even Wu Lingyu and the Fire Qilin were deeply shocked by the word, "sister." "Sister." Shimin Feng shouted again when he saw Sima Yue getting closer and closer. This big sister also brought Kong Xiangyi's heart back. She pulled on Shimin Feng's sleeve and said, "Shimin Feng, is there something wrong with your head? She was a man. How could she be your sister? Isn't your sister already dead? Chinamo said that he personally buried your sister." In the beginning, Shimin Feng was also very surprised, but when he saw Little Roar and heard him call her Yu, he was sure that the person in front of him was his sister. Moreover, her soul must have been reborn, or else her spirit contract beast would not have survived. Although he didn't know what was going on, he knew that she was his elder sister, the elder sister who had protected him since he was young. Sima Yue came to the front of Shimin Feng and reached out her hand to take off Shimin Feng's mask, but was caught by him. "Don't look." Sima Yue knew that there must be a reason why he did not want her to see it. She did not force him. She touched the mask and looked at the familiar eyes. She smiled and cried. Wu Lingyu glanced at the two of them and said to Kong Sengyi, who was stunned, "Let's go." Kong Sengyi was stunned for a moment, but then he understood what Wu Lingyu meant and followed him into the distance. "Hey, I say, are you really Wu Lingyu?" "Yes." "Not a fake?" "Yes." "That's impossible, right? If you're from the Sage Pavilion, why would you help us?" "Oh, I understand. That sister must have begged you." "Sai, he was a man, how could he be an older sister?" "How strange." The Kong Sengyi chattered as they walked away, their voices getting softer and softer. When they were far away, Sima Yue let go of Shimin Feng and said, "Feng, what's going on?" "It's a long story," Shimin Feng said. "Let's talk about it later," Sima Yue said as she took out a pill. "You were injured just now, take this pill first." Shimin Feng took the pill and ate it. He didn't say anything else. Sima Yue called Ye Guang out again and got him to burn the corpses to get rid of the evidence. After that, she took Shimin Feng and left the place. She got Little Rock to bring them to a mountain peak. "Can I see you now?" Sima Yue asked. "No." Shimin Feng still subconsciously refused. "No matter what you become, you're still my brother," Sima Yue said. "I don't want to scare you." Shimin Feng was a little reluctant. "I've seen your but naked before, why would I be afraid of your current appearance?" Sima Yue said. "Sister." Shimin Feng looked at Sima Yue a little embarrassedly. "Sister, how did you become like this? You're a man now, calling you sister is a little awkward." Sima Yue smiled and turned the ring on her finger, turning back into a woman. "You." Shimin Feng's eyes widened. "Looks like sister is still a sister, I won't feel awkward like this." Sima Yue nodded. "Now it's time for me to see your face." "I?" Shimin Feng was still unwilling, but seeing Sima Yue's persistent eyes, he knew that she would definitely do what she set her mind on, so he could only let her take off the mask on his face. What kind of face was that? There was almost no part of his skin that was intact, and there were a lot of bumps and hollows, as if he had been bitten by something. Because he had been wearing a mask all these years, his face was a little pale. Although Sima Yue guessed that there must be something on his face, she did not expect his face to be like this. She was shocked and took a deep breath. Shimin Feng saw Sima Yue's reaction, and his eyes flashed with embarrassment. "I knew it would scare you." As he spoke, he reached out to take the mask, but Sima Yue hid it behind her back. I was just a little shocked. Sima Yue looked at the wounds on his face, her heart aching. She did not know what he had been through and how much pain he had gone through. Now that we have time, tell me what happened after that **** left. How did you survive all these years and how did you get these wounds? Seeing his flickering eyes, she glared at him. You know my personality and I know yours. Don't try to hide anything from me or else I won't forgive you if I find out. Shimin Feng originally wanted to hide the truth, but after hearing her words, the words were stuck in his throat. He hesitated for a while before he told her his experience. After you left that day, I was injured by them not long after. I did not want to be dismembered after death, so I used the last of my strength to jump off the cliff. Sister, do you still remember the place where we separated? The place where we separated? Sima Yue thought for a while and was shocked. Heartbreak Valley. You actually fell into Heartbreak Valley? Shimin Feng nodded and continued. Heartbreak Valley is famous for poisonous insects in the central region. After I fell that day, I was lucky and fell into a pool. There was a poisonous beast living in the pool, but it was not there recently, so there were some unconscious poisonous insects around. When I woke up, my face was already like this and I was in Kong Valley. Maybe it was because you had fed me a lot of good things, so it was compatible with the poison. So although I was poisoned, I did not die. You entered Heartbreak Valley and were bitten by poisonous insects, but you were not poisoned to death. This might be the reason why Kong Valley was willing to save you. Sima Yue said. That's right. Shimin Feng nodded. They told me that they went to Heartbreak Valley to look for 2 poisonous herbs. When they saw me and realized that I was not dead, they were curious and saved me. Then how did you get your strength? Sima Yue asked. According to your cultivation speed, it's impossible to reach your current strength. I really can't hide anything from you. Shimin Feng said. After I recovered, I stayed in Kong Valley and did not have much contact with others. I don't know why, but Kong Sengyi always liked to pester me, so I was targeted. One time when I went out, I fell into their trap and fell into a cave. Although I came out alive, a dark aura entered my body and I almost died. After I went back, with the help of the Valley Lord and the others, I spent a few years to control this aura. Sima Yue frowned and grabbed his hand to check his pulse. After a while, she looked at Shimin Feng's calm and helpless face in horror. Chapter 502. Shimin Feng looked at Sima Yue and said with a bitter smile, I knew I couldn't hide anything from you. Edited by Vicky. I won't let you see it, but you won't give up. The aura in your body is too strange, it has been eating away at the life force in your organs. Sima Yue said, according to the current speed, you have less than 5 years to live. Kong Valley's doctor said the same thing. Shimin Feng said, I knew that I didn't have much time left. After I successfully controlled that aura, I left the valley. I wanted to kill the people from the Zhongzheng clan and Yin Yang Palace to avenge our loved ones. You killed a lot of people? Sima Yue asked. Not much. Back then, we didn't even kill 10% of the people who killed our loved ones. Shimin Feng said, blaming himself. Sima Yue retracted her hand and said, even though that aura is in your body and is being suppressed by you for the time being, every time you use it, it will consume your life force and reduce your time. I understand, Shimin Feng said. The doctor has already explained it. It's good that you understand. Sima Yue said, from today onwards you can't use that aura anymore. I will think of a way to seal it and then find a solution to get rid of the source for you. Sister, I'm already used to this power. If I give up, then your life is more important than anything else. Sima Yue held his hand. We've already died once. Are we going to die again? We can take our revenge slowly. The longer we live, the better we can kill our enemies. Think about it, when we're strong, it'll be better for us to kill the Zhongzheng clan and Yin Yang Palace for revenge. Or is it better for you to risk your life and capture a few of them? However, the people from the Kong Valley said that once it entered my body, it had already taken root and there was no way to remove it. Shimin Feng said. Don't you know my medical skills? Sima Yue said, furthermore, I've had some fortuitous encounters over the years. I've obtained quite a number of ancient medical books and my medical skills have improved a lot. Although we can't think of a way to eradicate it, we still have a way to temporarily contain it. After that, we'll think of a way to cure it. All right then, Shimin Feng said helplessly. I knew that things would turn out like this after we met. That's why you refused to acknowledge me even though you recognized me last time. You made me sad for a long time. Sima Yue pouted and complained. Elder sister, don't be angry. I'm just thinking that I don't have many years left to live. If you recognize me and see me die, you'll be sad. But I don't want you to be sad, Simon Wind explained. Sai, how can I not know what you're thinking? Sima Yue sighed. If I'm really mad at you, I won't chase you. However, I originally thought that you were using some sort of secret technique to increase your strength. I was worried that it would harm your body, so I chased after you. But I didn't expect that your current situation is even worse than what I imagined. Go to the latest update. Elder sister is always so smart. Shimin Feng sighed. Otherwise, how can I be your elder sister? Fortunately, I chased after you. Otherwise, with how big the primordial lands is, and how you intentionally hid your tracks, it would really be difficult for me to find you. Sima Yue said in relief. Then what about you, elder sister? How did you end up in this state? Big brother Chinemo said that he personally buried your corpse. How did you come back to life? Shimin Feng asked. Actually, I'm already dead. The current me is no longer the same as before. Sima Yue said. You're no longer the same as before? No wonder when we met for the first time, I felt that your eyes were very familiar. Yet, I didn't recognize your appearance. Then what's your current situation? Shimin Feng said. After I died in my previous life, my soul entered this body, and borrowed this body to come back to life. Sima Yue roughly explained her situation to Shimin Feng. After listening to her, Shimin Feng looked at her with a strange expression. If that's the case, then this body of yours is much younger than me. You should be calling me elder brother and not me calling you elder sister. Sima Yue slapped him on the head. Elder sister is elder sister. Even though this body is 1,000 years younger than you, it's still elder sister. Ever since you came out of your mother's womb after me, you've never had the chance to become an elder brother. I grew up under your oppression. Now that you're finally younger than me, I'm still being oppressed by you. Using your old words, this is unscientific. Shimin Feng protested. Don't give me the unscientific words. This is a fact that can never be changed. Sima Yue said, oh right, that Kong Sangyi seems to treat you quite well. Are you going to take her in as my sister-in-law? Elder sister, what are you talking about? She's just a clingy little girl. Shimin Feng felt a little awkward when he mentioned Kong Sangyi. Little girl? Have you ever seen a little girl over 100 years old? Sima Yue dragged out her voice meaningfully. Do you really think that elder sister is an ignorant commoner from the lower continents? I've heard of this Kong Sangyi's reputation before. At that time, I thought that the people from the Kong Valley weren't good. But when I saw how she never left you, I was very satisfied. How can I be together with her in this state? Shimin Feng said. You don't have to worry about that. I can't get rid of the aura in your body, but the wounds on your face shouldn't be a problem. Sima Yue said confidently. I'll turn you back into the handsome young man you used to be. I guarantee that you'll charm thousands of young women. But, I'll definitely let you live to 100 years old. Sima Yue knew what he was going to say. I'm now a disciple of the Divine Devil Valley's second Valley Lord. You know him too. His alchemy skills are amazing. There are many such talents in the Divine Devil Valley. Even if I can't do it, I'll gather everyone together. There'll definitely be a way. So I'll definitely let you have a long time to fall in love. Actually, we came to the outer regions this time because we received news that the Zhongzheng clan and Yinyang Palace would be participating in the auction. Another reason is to look for the Heavenly Sect's vice principal. I heard that his alchemy and medical skills are superb. Even compared to you, he's not at all inferior. I want him to show me his skills. But I heard that he rarely walks around outside now. That's great. Sima Yue said. My master also wants us to go to the sect to learn. When the time comes, we'll see if we can find him and ask him to take a look at you. Sima Yue said. All right. The siblings chatted for an entire day and night on the mountain peak. They told each other about their experiences over the years. But most of the time, Sima Yue talked about her experiences in the lower continents, as well as her current family. Compared to Shimin Feng, her experiences were much more exciting. It wasn't until the evening of the second day that Wu Lingyu and Kong Sangyi arrived at the mountain peak. Shimin Feng put on his mask again. Shimin Feng, if we don't go to Yu City now, we won't make it in time. Kong Sangyi stared at Shimin Feng, feeling wronged. Usually, he would only get a few words from him because he had worked hard for so many years. He didn't expect that he would actually chat with this sister for an entire day and night. The difference was too big. Heavily recommended. I eat tomatoes, tomato, new book. Chapter 503. Sima Yu saw the way Kong Xiangyi was acting and immediately laughed, saying, I lost track of time while chatting. Wu Lingyu had other thoughts when he saw Sima Yu's smile. Ever since she had advanced to the divine level, the things she had seen the most were her tears and forced smiles. She had never smiled so happily before. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look at Shimin Feng. Why did he call her sister? The more he thought about it, the more confused he became. No matter how smart he was, he would never have thought of such a thing as a soul being reborn. Sima Yue stood up from the ground, patted the dust on her butt and said, Feng, what are you going to use city for? Go find someone. Shimin Feng also stood up. Kong Valley has always been looking for ghost genius Mo-san. Recently we received news that he came to the outer regions, so we sent people to search for his tracks. We just received news that he might go to U City in 2 days, so we want to try our luck and see if we can see him. Ghost genius third Mo? That guy is wanton and unrestrained, why are you looking for him? Sima Yu asked, puzzled. There are some things that I need his help with. Shimin Feng said. Shimin Feng, why do you tell her everything? Kong Sangyi glared at Shimin Feng with dissatisfaction. I never hide my matters from big sister. Shimin Feng said. Forget it, if you go look for third Mo like this, he'll definitely ignore you. Otherwise they will definitely demand an exorbitant price and rip you guys off, Sima Yue said confidently with her hands behind her back. You know him? Shimin Feng asked in surprise. Didn't I go to Mo Bay when I was 100 years old? Sima Yue said, I met him by chance and got to know him. I remember now. At that time you said you met a friend, but he had a strange temperament. You called him something. Shameless third. You're not talking about third Mo, are you? Sima Yue nodded. That's good. We were worried that even if we found him we might not be able to do it, but with your help there won't be a problem. Shimin Feng said. When I was 100 years old. Kong Sangyi sized up Sima Yue. You look like your bone age is only around 20 years old? Where did you get 100 years old? Or do you have a way to hide your bone age? How about you teach me? Sima Yue smiled. I really can't teach you this method. She had died and was reborn. Moreover, even she did not know how she had been reborn. How could she teach others? Sima Yue said. Sima Yue, Sima Yue, as Kong Xiangyi pursed her lips saying, if you don't want to say it then don't. Well, let's go. All right. Feng it Yue was Feng Yue it Yue was looked Yue it. I didn't expect you to tame a phoenix. It's as you wished. Sima Yue smiled. No wonder we couldn't catch up with you all the way. Shimin Feng smiled and didn't say anything. The group followed. They flew through the night for another 2 days before stopping outside U City. Chirp chirp. A paper crane came out of U City and flew beside Kong Sangyi's ear for a while, then landed on her hand. She dispersed her spiritual power and it turned into a paper crane. Little Crane said that third Mo has arrived in U City and is staying in the biggest inn in the city. Kong Sangyi said to everyone. Then we'll stay there too. Sima Yue said, do you know why he came here? How long will he stay here? I don't know, but he said he will only stay here for 4 days. More than a day has passed, we still have more than 2 days. Kong Sangyi said, time is a little tight, I think we should just look for him directly. Let's go and see what's going on. Sima Yue said. Okay. They entered the city and found the inn where third Mo was staying and checked in. They asked for 4 rooms. When they asked the waiter said that third Mo went out in the morning and only came back at night, so everyone went back to their rooms to rest. Feng, it's not suitable for me to see third Mo like this. You guys go and try, maybe you'll succeed. Sima Yue said. Okay. I'll make some medicine for you later to heal your throat first. Sima Yue continued. You've been rushing for so long, rest first. My throat has been like this since I came out of Heartbreak Valley, I'm used to it after so many years. Shimin Feng said. I know. Sima Yue said, let's go, I'll show you my place. With that, she brought Shimin Feng into the spirit pagoda. The moment they disappeared, Wu Lingyu, who was cultivating in the next room, opened her eyes. Sister, this is the spirit pagoda? Shimin Feng was shocked when he saw the scenery in the spirit pagoda. Yes. Sima Yue smiled and nodded. There used to be a lot of people here, but today they're all guests at the inn residence, so it's much quieter. I can see that there are traces of people living here. Shimin Feng said, it's hard to imagine that there's such a treasure in this world, such a good place. This was left to her by the father of this body, but she couldn't cultivate at that time, so she couldn't use it. Sima Yue felt pity for the original owner. This can be compared to those little realms. No, it's even better. Shimin Feng said. Sima Yue saw the curiosity in Shimin Feng's eyes and smiled. One day outside is equivalent to 10 days here. I'll go prepare the medicine, you have time to look around. With that, she went to the medicine room and asked Little Spirit to help her pick a few herbs from the fields. Then she took some dried herbs and refined them one by one before starting to refine pills. One day later, she opened the door to the pill refining room and saw Shimin Feng wandering around the medicine field. Sister, are you done? Shimin Feng heard the movement and flew over. Sima Yue placed a bottle of pills in his hand and said, take one pill every 2 days. You still have things to do now, I'll bring you in later. Let's go out first. Okay. Sima Yue brought him out and let him go back, then she sat cross-legged on the bed to adjust her breathing. When she opened her eyes, it was already the next day. Hearing the voices outside, she got off the bed and walked out. She opened the door and leaned against the door to look at Kong Sangyi, who was pulling a long face. Shimin Feng was listening to her complain. Yue, you're right. That third MO is really stubborn. No matter what we say, he won't agree and even chased us out. Sima Yue looked at Shimin Feng, his eyes were also filled with helplessness. It seems that after all these years his personality is still so weird. Sima Yue said with a smile, come in, I'll give you guys some advice. Chapter 504. At night, a man in white walked in from outside the inn. As soon as he entered, he saw Kong Sangyi guarding the door. Because he was in a bad mood today when he saw her pestering him, he felt even worse. I already said that I don't have time. Don't look for me, Third Mo said as he walked upstairs. Third Master, I'm not here to talk to you tonight, Kong Sangyi said with a smile. Looking at you, you must have encountered something unpleasant today. I'm waiting for you here because I heard that you like wine. Today I went out and got a few jars of good wine. It's the best Nur Hong. Do you want to try it? Third Mo followed her gaze and saw a table in the corner filled with delicacies. There were also several jars of wine. One of the jars had already been opened, and the fragrance of the wine wafted into the air. It was intoxicating. The 3 men sat at the side and looked at him. No wonder he smelled the aroma of wine the moment he entered. So that was the reason. However, he quickly retracted his gaze and said indifferently, I haven't drunk in a long time. After that, he walked around Kong Sangyi and headed for the stairs. If he hadn't gotten drunk and slept for half a month, how could he have missed the time to save her? Ever since he saw her corpse, he had not touched a single drop of alcohol. He even hated it. Sima Yue saw that this trick was useless against him. She also saw the disgust and self-blame in his eyes. She did not know what was wrong with him. He had even abandoned a hobby that he had kept for hundreds of years. Thinking that he would leave tomorrow, she couldn't help but ask, Shameless Third, when did you quit all your lovers? Third Mo was stunned. He stopped in his tracks and turned around to look at Sima Yue. His eyes were filled with shock. What did you call me? He held his breath, not knowing what answer he would get. Sima Yue raised a wine jar and threw it at him. You once told me that this thing is the most intimate thing to you. It's your lover and you'll probably spend the rest of your life with it. Why are you abandoning your lover now? Third Mo hugged the wine jar. After the initial shock, he became alert. He saw Qin Mo bury her with his own eyes. How could she come back to life? However, he had only said those words to her. She was also the only one who spoke to him in such a tone. She was the only one who would call him Shameless Third. Sima Yu saw the complicated look in his eyes and sighed, saying, I promised to make you a chicken banquet to go with your wine. Now that I've made it, why aren't you willing to do me the honor? Third Mo walked towards her in a daze. He saw the smile in her eyes. Although she had changed, her gaze hadn't. It was the her he knew. He reached out to pinch her face, but she slapped his hand away. You won't be able to pay for my fragile skin if you break it, she said, glaring at him. Why did these words sound so familiar? I remember now, you also wanted to pinch me at that time. We haven't seen each other for so many years. Why are you still like this? Hearing this, Third Mo's suspicious eyes were filled with ecstasy. She had said the same thing to him back then. If other people knew about what happened between them and asked them to imitate her, they wouldn't know what she had inadvertently said. He hugged Sima Yue and laughed, You're still alive. And I'm alive. Sima Yue nodded, If you don't let go of me, I'll suffocate to death. She said, Alive, not alive, but Third Mo didn't notice this. Third Mo let go of her and looked at her face. Your disguise is pretty good. I didn't even recognize you. There's no trace of it at all. Where did you learn it? That's not right. I clearly saw Qin Mo bury your body. Could it be that he secretly dug you out to save you? Sima Yoyue's lips twitched. This is my current appearance. Thinking of Qin Mo, her heart felt sour. Memory restaurant. Memory restaurant? How did you become like this? Third Mo sat down beside her and asked. I'll tell you later. Sima Yue smiled. This is the chicken feast that I promised you. The wine is also the good wine that I specially prepared for you. If you don't give me face, I won't agree to it. Alright, I know that you came looking for me because of this girl. Third Mo said. I'll eat this meal. Let's forget about the wine. Shameless Third, you really quit drinking? Sima Yue thought that he was just making excuses. Now it seemed that he really didn't drink anymore. Third Mo nodded seriously. When the Shiman family was in trouble, I was drunk and slept for half a month. When I woke up, I knew that you had sent me a message. When I rushed over, you were already. From then on, I stopped drinking. Sima Yoyue's heart ached. What he loved the most was wine. She understood his feelings towards wine the most. But because he couldn't save her, he quit drinking. She suddenly wanted to cry. Sniffling, she put away the wine and took out some white wine jugs. This is my newly brewed fruit wine. It won't get you drunk. You can drink this in the future. Third Mo took it and smelled it. The fragrance of the spirit fruit was mixed with a faint wine fragrance. It was very different from the strong wine that he drank before. This is the fruit wine that you talked about before? There are many kinds of fruit wine. I made many kinds. You can try them all. Sima Yue poured a cup for him. Third Mo took it and tasted it. It's not as strong as ordinary wine. The fragrance of the spirit fruit and the wine are mixed together. It has a different flavor. Do you like it? Sima Yue asked. Not bad. Third Mo nodded. Even if I keep drinking this, I won't get drunk. I'll drink this in the future. Sima Yue saw that he liked it and smiled happily. Suddenly, she felt a resentful gaze. Turning her head, she saw Wu Lingyu looking at her with eyes full of complaints. Why was she so nice to the two people who suddenly appeared? This senior martial brother of his had been thrown aside by her. Sima Yue felt the cold air coming from his body. Taking the cup in front of him, she poured a cup for him and put it in front of him. Smiling, she said, Senior brother, you've been working hard recently. I haven't thanked you for saving my younger brother. Come drink more. Wu Lingyu saw that Sima Yue was really happy. Even her smile towards him was more genuine. But this was because of someone else, not him. So he was still a little annoyed. Taking the cup of wine that Sima Yue poured for him, he drank it in one gulp. Then he stood up and left. Third Mo looked at Wu Lingyu's back and smiled. This holy son of the sage pavilion has a big temper. But why do I smell something sour? They were all famous people in the inner regions. Third Mo naturally knew Wu Lingyu, but he had never interacted with him. It was Sima Yoyue's first time seeing Wu Lingyu like this. But thinking that he had suppressed it for such a long time, he was already considered to have a good temper. Shameless Third, you're laughing at me. Be careful that I'll take care of you in the future. Xiang Yi, tell him what happened. I'll go out for a while. After speaking, she stood up and left. Chapter 505. When Sima Yue went out, she saw Wu Lingyu walking on the street. He did not open a spatial passage to leave, it seemed like he was waiting for her to come out. She chased after him and pulled on his sleeve, saying, "What are you doing?" Wu Lingyu glanced at her and did not say anything, continuing to walk forward. Sima Yue rolled her eyes in her heart. This guy was still being arrogant. I know what you're thinking. If you continue to be like this, I won't say anything. The figure in front of her paused. She snickered and went forward to grab his arm, saying, "Let's find a place where no one can hear us." Wu Lingyu lowered his head to look at the jade hand on his arm. Seeing the teasing look in her eyes, most of the anger in his heart disappeared. He wrapped his arms around her waist, opened up a spatial passageway and walked in, entering the little realm that he had refined. Sima Yue thought about the last time she came here. At that time she had just recovered her memories and was on the verge of collapse. He brought her here to stay for a month to let her slowly calm down. Seeing that the rocking chair she slept in was still there, she walked over and sat down, curling up like last time. She thought about the way he looked at her at that time. At that time he was probably wondering what was wrong with her. However, he did not ask anything and only gave her the peace she wanted. Moreover, after seeing her strange behavior for so long, he did not ask her about it. This was already good enough. She raised her head to look at a certain someone who was still angry. She smiled and lay down again, pointing at another rocking chair beside her. A certain someone sat down with a cold face. "Senior, have you been to the southern wasteland?" she asked. "Twice," Wu Lingyu said. "Then have you heard of the Shiman clan of the southern wasteland's 7 prefectures?" Sima Yue asked. "Shiman clan? The one that was exterminated by the Zhongzheng clan?" Wu Lingyu felt that it was a bit familiar. Only later did he remember that he had heard them talk about it before. Sima Yue nodded, saying, "At that time the eldest daughter of the Shiman clan was called Shiman Yue. The eldest son was called Shiman Feng." Wu Lingyu wasn't too surprised. After all, he had already guessed her identity. Back then, Zhongzheng Hanyu and I were very good friends. We grew up together. Because I was a triple elemental spirit master and she was a double elemental spirit master, my halo gradually overshadowed hers and she slowly changed. Once, she gave me a rare spirit stone, saying that it was a birthday gift for me. Later, I found out that it was a type of spirit stone that could slowly emit poison. And because my family had inhaled this poison, when the Zhongzheng clan and Yinyang Palace attacked us, we couldn't withstand a single blow. Then you, of course I'm dead. Sima Yue said, "Zhongzheng Han, you used the soul-locking lamp to scatter my soul, but I don't know why my soul didn't disappear, but was reborn in this body. But because my soul was injured, I didn't have those memories at first. When I advanced to the divine level, I regained my memories and recalled the past. Then when we met, you were already reborn." Wu Lingyu was very conflicted about this question. At that time, I had just been reborn for a few months. Wu Lingyu's heart relaxed and his heart ached for her. After that, when he went to the 7 prefectures of the southern desolation, he passed by a burnt ruin, and heard the people around him say that it was the ruins of the Shiman clan. Just by looking at the ruins he could imagine the scene at that time. And that year she saw her own clan being engulfed in the fire with her own eyes. Seeing her relatives die tragically, he could imagine her heartache. No wonder she was like that after regaining her memories. He used to think about what happened to her that caused her to break down when she advanced to the divine level. He thought of a million possibilities, but he didn't think of this. Now he also understood why she was like that when she saw Shiman Feng. One escaped death, the other was reborn. They were very close brother and sister and could be the only person in the clan. Naturally it would be like that. Yinyang Palace belongs to the Southern Desolation Branch Palace. Sima Yue glared at him. "I just knew that there are no good people in the Sage Pavilion. This has nothing to do with me." Wu Lingyu said innocently, "You know, I'm from the Divine Devil Valley. But you're also the Holy Son of the Sage Pavilion. On the surface you're also a member of the Sage Pavilion." She didn't think that the Yinyang Palace was actually a subordinate of the Sage Pavilion. But thinking about the way the Sage Pavilion did things in the Southern Desolation, it was expected that there would be a power like the Yinyang Palace. "I might not be the Holy Son any time." Wu Lingyu shrugged. "You didn't tell me clearly at that time. Why did the Pavilion Master want you to go to the Sage Pavilion to be the Crown Prince? You didn't tell me clearly either." She moved her body and turned sideways to face him. Don't try to scare me. I've already told you my secret," Sima Yue said before he could speak. Wu Lingyu thought about it and said, "Because my soul is incomplete." "What does an incomplete soul have to do with that?" Sima Yue didn't understand. "That old fart's time is up. Because my soul is incomplete, I'm the best host for possession," Wu Lingyu said casually. "Possession?" Sima Yue sat up abruptly. "Could it be someone like me?" "Should be." She looked at him from head to toe. Thinking about the soul of an old fart living in this body, she couldn't help but shiver. "Speaking of which, I should be able to break the contract with Mo Sha now. You guys should merge sooner. That way that old fart won't be able to do anything to you," Sima Yue said. "Speaking of which, Mo Sha hasn't come out for a long time. I don't know what he's doing in the bracelet. Maybe he's preparing to merge," Wu Lingyu guessed. "I don't know. I tried to contact him but he actually blocked our contract. That's why I can't contact him now," Sima Yue said curiously. "Since you can't contact him, then there's no way to break the contract for now." "There's no rush. That old fart still has a few years," Wu Lingyu said. "He's been in closed-door cultivation recently. If he succeeds in advancing, then he'll have a lot of time. Living in his own body is better than finding a new one. I'm just a spare tire for him. Of course, in order to make use of this spare tire, he spent a lot of good resources on me these past few years. That's why you're so strong." Sima Yue pursed her lips. "The last time I saw you save my brother, I didn't see your strength. Quick, tell me. It's fine if you didn't see it. You'll know in the future. Wu Lingyu said, keeping her in suspense. Diske, I won't tell you if you don't want to. She lay back down. What are your plans for this period of time? I don't have any plans. Anyway, that old fart is in closed-door cultivation and doesn't have time to find me. I'll just follow you for now. He smiled and said, also, who knows when Mo Sha will wake up. It'll be troublesome if you can't contact me then. Chapter 506. Sima Yue looked at him and waved her hand, saying, It's up to you. Anyway, with my current strength, I'm considered a weakling. With an expert like you by my side, I'll be safer. Wu Lingyu also laid down. The two of them lay there quietly for a while. After a while, he opened his eyes and found that Sima Yue was already asleep. Looking at her sleeping face, he was momentarily mesmerized. He knew that she rarely slept. Other than when she fainted at the teleportation array, she would cultivate and study whenever she had time. When she was tired, she would cultivate her soul to get rid of her fatigue. He knew that she was a very vigilant person. Now that she was sleeping peacefully beside him, it was because she subconsciously trusted him. Thinking of this, his lips curled into a charming smile. Sima Yue did not know how long she had slept, but when she opened her eyes, she saw a certain someone's charming smile. What are you thinking about? Why are you so happy? Sima Yue rubbed her eyes and asked in confusion. She felt that she was a little sleepy. Must have been a long time. She couldn't remember how long it had been since she had a good night's sleep. She didn't expect to fall asleep here today. Not long, only a day. Wu Lingyu sat up and said, One day. Sima Yue screamed, Why did I sleep for so long? You've been too tired recently, Wu Lingyu said. Let's go out quickly. Feng, and the others must be worried. She quickly stood up and said anxiously, Don't worry, they won't be in a hurry. Isn't Third Mo busy today? Although Wu Lingyu said that, he still stood up, opened the little realm and brought her out. Sister, where did you go? Seeing Sima Yue, Shimin Feng immediately came up and asked worriedly. She glared at Wu Lingyu as she spoke. Sima Yue smiled and patted his shoulder, saying, It's nothing, I just went to a place and was delayed for a while. How are things going with you? Third Master Mo has already agreed to help Kong Valley. Kong Sangyi said. Sima Yue did not see Third Mo and raised her eyebrows. Where is he? He said that he's here to appraise stones for a family here. Today is the last day and he'll be back in the evening, Kong Sangyi said. Although Rascal 3 is good in all areas, he's the best at judging mountains and stones. Sima Yue said, You're looking for him for this? Kong Sangyi did not hide it from her anymore and said, Yes, we found a mine a few days ago, but we don't know where to start, so we wanted to ask Third Master Mo to take a look. Sima Yue didn't understand it in the past, but now she understood. There were many strange spiritual stones under the mine. Because the mine had been buried underground for many years, all kinds of spiritual energy formed in the mountain and gradually formed a force. This force was closely related to the spiritual stones in the mountain. If the force didn't spread out along the terrain when the mine started, it would be chaotic in the mountain and cause trouble for mining. Might even kill people. Therefore, once a mine was discovered, everyone would ask a spirit seeker to find the right place to mine and release the power. Is there a problem with your mine? She asked. Every power had their own mine. This Kong Valley's position in the inner regions was not low, so naturally they had their own mine. No, the mine was fine in the past. Kong Sangyi said, but we recently found a mine. Our spirit seeker said that there would be many rare spiritual stones in the mine. That's not bad. Sima Yue understood the importance of discovering a mine, especially one that could produce rare spiritual stones. When we found this mine, the valley was naturally very happy. But our spirit seeker's words made everyone worried. He said that for some reason the terrain of the mine was very different from other mines. He said that the force inside was too complicated and could not be opened casually. Otherwise the entire mine would be destroyed. Shimin Feng and I only received this news when we reached the outer regions. We also found out that Third Master Mo was also in the outer regions. We thought of a way to find him and asked him to help us take a look. Speaking up to this point, she went forward to hold Sima Yue's hand and said with a smile, We really have to thank you this time. If it wasn't for you, we would have made a wasted trip. She already knew that Sima Yue was a girl, so naturally she did not avoid this topic. I haven't properly thanked you for saving Feng. This is nothing. Also, with Shameless Third's personality, I'm afraid he won't help you for free. Sima Yue said with a smile. We naturally need to pay him for his help. But if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't even have this chance. Kong Sangyi said. Sima Yue did not continue to chat with her and changed the topic. Then are you guys going back? Kong Sangyi looked at Shimin Feng and shook her head. We're not going back. Third Master Amo said that he won't have time these few months. He will go after some time. When the time comes, there will be people from the valley coming to pick him up. Sima Yue understood that Shimin Feng was definitely not willing to go back, so she also did not want to go back. She really had deep feelings for this brother of hers. Although her reputation wasn't good before, she had a straightforward personality and she liked her. This time, Third Master Amo came back late at night. The moment he came back, he told Sima Yue that there was something good in the auction at Shenyuan Pavilion and that they must go. Although Sima Yue had already decided to go to the auction, she was still very curious about the good stuff that could attract Third Master Amo. Third Master Amo smiled mysteriously and said, "It said that there is a piece of or from the ancient times." Or from the ancient times. Several people gasped, "Isn't this the ancient times? It's even further back. The things left behind at that time are probably not ordinary." "Yes, that's why I said that this auction is worth going." Third Master Amo smiled and said, "We originally planned to go to the auction. Now it's a good time to go together." Sima Yue replied. "Then it's decided. Yue, give me some of that fruit wine. You only gave me 1 jar last night. I don't even want to drink any more today." "Didn't you say that you quit?" she teased. "I won't drink that kind of strong alcohol anymore, but this kind of fruit wine is not bad. I can drink it." Third Master Amo smiled and said, "Look at you, no matter how much I give you, it won't be enough for you to drink." Although she scolded him, Sima Yue still took out a lot of wine for him. Ever since she recovered her memories, she remembered this old friend of hers. At that time, she started to let Little Spirit brew a large amount of fruit wine. Since Little Spirit and the others were bored inside, she might as well find something for them to do. After this period of time, there were actually countless bottles of wine in the Spirit Pagoda. They once asked her why she brewed so much wine. In the past, it was just enough for everyone to drink. Now, this amount was far beyond what they could drink. Chapter 507. Since Third Mo had settled his matters here, Sima Yue and the rest planned to head to Feng City where the Shenyuan Pavilion was holding the auction. Feng City was in the northwest direction of Yu City. It was right between Autumn Moon City and Feng City, so she thought of a way to inform Bei Gong Tang and the others that she was safe before setting off for Feng City. Sima Yue and Shimin Feng were dizzy from using the teleportation array. However, the distance from here to Feng City was very far. It would take at least 3 to 5 years. Therefore, they could only use the teleportation array. But luckily, the clan that Third Mo helped was a prominent clan here and managed the teleportation array. She went to research the teleportation array to Feng City and found out the coordinates of Feng City. She and Third Mo spent over 10 days to set up such a long-distance teleportation array. Wu Lingyu said that she would open up a spatial tunnel to bring them over. However, Sima Yue thought that she had nothing to do recently, so she could use this to practice. She had never set up such a long-distance teleportation array before, so she wanted to give it a try. "I didn't expect you to learn so many things after your rebirth." Third Mo already knew about Sima Yue's rebirth. He also knew that she knew how to tame beasts and array formations. "I do know more than before. I was interested in alchemy in the past. Now that I have a chance to start over and I have a blood feud, the more I know, the better," Sima Yue said. "I was worried that you would bite off more than you can chew when I heard that you knew how to do these things. I didn't expect you to do everything so well." Third Mo said, "Say, if someone like you becomes famous in the continent, I'll just give up my title of Ghost Genius to you. Alright, I only know a little. Since I've been with you recently, why don't you give me some pointers?" she said with a smile. "Sure." Third Mo agreed readily. He was originally on good terms with Sima Yue and saw her as a close friend. The last time he was unable to save her because he was drunk, he had always regretted it. Now that she had been reborn, he naturally wanted to make up for the guilt in his heart. After the teleportation portal was set up, Kong Sangyi was amazed and exclaimed that Sima Yue was even more talented than a ghost. "Aren't we together with Rascal 3? Most of the time he's the one doing it. I'm just helping him from the side," Sima Yue said. "It's such a long-distance teleportation array. Are the two of you really accurate? Could it have teleported us somewhere else?" Wu Lingyu frowned. "Ahem." Sima Yue coughed unnaturally. Although we know the coordinates, Rascal San said that the distance is too far, so there might be some deviation. However, it won't be too far off. Big sister, is there really no problem with your transfer array? Shimin Feng asked somewhat fearfully. No, trust me. Sima Yue patted Shimin Feng's shoulder. How can I joke about everyone's lives? Besides, even if you don't trust me, don't you trust Shameless 3? It can't be worse than those teleportation arrays, right? I don't think so, Sima Yue said uncertainly. The teleportation arrays that she set up usually didn't cause people to feel dizzy. However, she had never tried such a long-distance teleportation before. She didn't know how effective it would be. Feeling uneasy, the few of them stepped into the teleportation array. After Sima Yue activated the teleportation array, the few of them quickly disappeared from their original spot. The teleportation array also turned into ashes after they disappeared. Hundreds of thousands of miles away from Feng City, a group of people were running wildly. They escaped from the mountains to the plains and kept running towards Feng City. The people on the spirit beast's back were running wildly on the plains. The people on the spirit beast's back kept looking back. When they saw the people chasing them from the mountains, their expressions changed. Little young master, little miss, we will try to delay those people in a while. You just have to keep running forward. Don't look back. Just wait for reinforcements. A middle-aged man said to his master. They have so many people. What's the point of you staying? We've already lost so many people. If you go back, it'll be a waste. The lady who was protected in the middle said. To be able to die for little miss and little young master, our deaths are worth it. As long as you are safe, those people didn't die in vain. The middle-aged man said. That's right. The others agreed. You just have to keep moving forward. The middle-aged man glanced at the others. The group of people flew up from the spirit beast's back and waited in the air for those people. Uncle Jean. The lady shouted. However, the spirit beast carried them further and further away. Big sister will die if we go back now. We can't let them die in vain. The young man said. Junhui, if I see him, I'll definitely kill him. The lady clenched her fists and looked at the people in the air with tears in her eyes. Seeing that the people chasing them were getting closer and closer, both sides started fighting. Soon half of the people on this side were killed. Only 3 to 5 people were left. The other people saw that there weren't many of them. They went around them and chased after the siblings. Big sister, I'll go stop them. The young man stood up and said. You're silly. I'm stronger than you. I'll go. Big sister, father and mother have always thought highly of you. You're strong unlike me. You have to live. No, you're the only male in our family. You'll definitely take up the responsibility of the family in the future. If you can survive today, you must kick Junhui and his branch out of the Jun family forever. Only then will you be able to live up to the people who died today. Do you remember? Haha, you siblings should stop fighting. Today none of you can leave. Arrogant laughter came from behind. Those people quickly caught up to them and landed on the ground, surrounding them. Seeing the murderous looks on their faces, the siblings' hearts sank. It looked like their chances of surviving today were not high. On the other side, the guards were all taken care of. The remaining people also caught up and surrounded them. In a while, find a chance to escape from their encirclement. I'll self-destruct and kill some of them. It'll delay them. The lady said resolutely. Big sister. The man's eyes widened in shock. Seeing that she had made up her mind, his eyes were filled with pain. Don't give her a chance to self-destruct. Hurry up and do it. A man shouted. When the lady heard that, she quickly mobilized the spiritual energy in her body and prepared to self-destruct. However, she was knocked off the spirit beast and fell to the ground. She clutched her chest and spat out a mouthful of blood. Big sister. The man jumped down and supported the lady. He glared at the group of people hatefully. Were they really going to die here today? At this moment, a passage suddenly opened in the air. 2 people fell from it. 3 people came out from behind and quickly supported the 2 people. The sudden appearance of the people on the ground interrupted the actions of the people on the ground. They raised their heads and looked at them. Seeing that Wu Lingyu supported Sima Yue to the ground, the man subconsciously called out. Yue. Chapter 508. Sima Yue heard someone calling her name and looked at them. She was surprised when she recognized them. Junlan, Juntian, why are you here? Shimin Feng looked at Junlan and Juntian and asked, Sister, do you know them? Sima Yue nodded. Sort of. Junlan didn't know Sima Yue. When they met at the Xianyuan Pavilion, Sima Yue was completely covered in a cloak, so she couldn't recognize her at all. However, Junlan had spent a few days with Sima Yue on Forgotten Worry Island. When the people chasing them saw that Sima Yue and Junlan knew each other, they said, "This matter cannot be spread. Kill them all." "Yes. Run." Junlan clutched her chest and shouted at them. "Originally it had nothing to do with you, but you were unlucky enough to see it. Don't leave a single one alive. Kill them all." The leader ordered. What arrogance! Not many people in the primordial lands dare to say that they will kill me. Third Mo laughed evilly. "I hate it when people point a knife at me." Kong Sangyi looked at those people, took out a bell and shook it twice. Kong Valley's people. Seeing the bell in Kong Sangyi's hand, those people immediately recognized him. "You do have some knowledge." Kong Sangyi did not deny it. Recognizing Kong Sangyi's identity, those people's faces became somewhat ugly. However, they had no choice but to fire now. Even if they knew that they were from ancient Kongming, they could not let them leave. Charge. Besides Sima Yue, the other four went over. Each of them was assigned a few people, and it didn't take long for them to settle everything. Sima Yue came to Junlan and Jun Tian's side. Seeing the dazed Jun Tian, she reminded, "Aren't you going to feed your sister the pill?" Only then did Jun Tian remember to give Junlan a pill and said, "Why are you here? When did you come up?" "A few months." Sima Yue frowned when she saw the pill that Jun Tian took out. Seeing that he was about to feed it to Junlan, she grabbed his hand. "What's wrong?" The siblings looked at her in confusion. "This pill doesn't smell right." Sima Yue took the pill from Jun Tian's hand and sniffed it carefully. Then she threw it on the ground. "There are 2 herbs inside. Once you take it, not only will it not save you, it will also take your life." "What?" The siblings were shocked. "It must have been planned long ago," Jun Tian said hatefully. Sima Yue took out a pill and handed it to Junlan, saying, "No matter which of you siblings is injured, as long as you take this pill, even if it didn't kill you, this pill will take your life. Luckily, Junlan, you're lucky to have met us." "You know me?" Junlan looked at Sima Yue in surprise. She didn't remember such a person. "Sis, she's the one I told you about before. Sima Yue from the Yilin continent's Sima family," Jun Tian said. Sima Yue smiled. "We've met before." "We've met before?" Not only was Junlan surprised, Jun Tian also looked at her in surprise. "You gave me a blue card at the West Moon Kingdom's auction," Sima Yue said. "You're that mysterious person?" Junlan said in surprise. Sima Yue nodded. "I didn't expect that person to be you." Junlan smiled. "Aren't you the people in charge of the Yilin continent's Shenyuan Pavilion? Why are you here?" She asked curiously. "We're originally from the primordial lands. We were sent down to train when we were young." Junlan felt much better after eating Sima Yue's pill. "Speaking of which, us siblings came back early because of you." "Because of me?" Sima Yue didn't understand. "That's right." Jun Tian patted Sima Yue's shoulder and said, "Back then, elder sister obtained the 100 Revolutions pills recipe from the mysterious person. That was a huge contribution to the clan. Because of that, we finished our training early and were summoned back. Since you're that mysterious person, then it's naturally because of you." So they left the Yilin continent not long after that. No wonder she didn't hear any news about them for the next few years. While they were talking, Wu Lingyu and the others had already finished taking care of everyone. Seeing that Sima Yue was chatting happily with them, they left 2 alive. "Elder sister, we're done." Shimin Feng walked over. Sima Yue stood up. Jun Tian also helped Junlan up. "Thank you all for saving our lives today," Jun Tian said gratefully. "If they hadn't happened to pass by, the siblings would have died here today. You're Yue's friends. Saving you isn't a big deal," Kong Sangyi said. "We left 2 alive. Do you want to ask them anything?" Shimin Feng asked. "We know who sent them. But with just them we can't deal with those people." Junlan said, "Why don't we kill them to vent our anger? I'll kill them and take revenge for Uncle Zhong and the others." Jun Tian let go of Junlan and walked over, killing the 2 people. Junlan looked at the corpses on the ground and hatred flashed in her eyes. But she quickly concealed it and asked Sima Yue and the others, "Miss Kong, why are you here?" "We went to attend the Shenyuan Pavilion's auction. The teleportation array sent us here." Kong Sangyi said, "Do you know which direction is Feng City?" "You're going to attend the auction in Feng City, right?" Jun Tian said after he came back. "It's still some distance from here. But flying beasts can reach in a few days." "You're going to attend the auction too?" Kong Sangyi asked. If I'm not wrong, they're going to host the auction. Sima Yue said. You're from the Jun family? Jun Lan nodded, saying, That's right. I'm Jun Lan. My brother is called Jun Tian. We were going to host the auction in Feng City, but we didn't expect to be intercepted on the way. What a coincidence. Kong Sangyi sighed. Since we're all going to Feng City, let's go together. Sima Yue said. So everyone called out their flying beasts and sat on them. Sima Yue and Shimin Feng were still a little dizzy from the teleportation array. They closed their eyes and rested on the flying beasts. A few days later, Sima Yue and the others arrived at Feng City, the second largest city in the central region. Before entering the city, the Jun family found Jun Lan and the others. So the group parted at the city gate. Before leaving, Jun Lan and the others gave Sima Yue an invitation card, saying that it was for special guests. Sima Yue accepted it without hesitation. It just so happened that they didn't have an invitation card before. Only with this could they attend the auction. Also, the Jun family arranged a place for them to stay. It just so happened that it was a chain and of memory restaurant. Sima Yue thought about it and agreed. The person who led the way said that he would send someone to bring them the list of auction items. So when Sima Yue heard the knock on the door, she thought that it was the list. When she saw the person standing at the door, she was stunned. Chapter 509. The person outside was still so handsome, but he was not as bright as before. There was no smile on his face and there was more sadness. His entire person was also much colder. She did not know what to say when she saw the other party staring at her. Admit it? Or not? You really came back, Qin Mo said without waiting for her to deny it. Don't deny it, Yue. I can recognize your eyes immediately. Hearing what he said, Sima Yue sighed and turned sideways to let him in. Then she closed the door and turned to look at him. How did you know it was me? The watermark symbol you left behind in Innumerable Green City. Only the two of us know what that symbol means. No one else will know. Qin Mo looked at Sima Yue. Sima Yue recalled that she was indeed at Memory Restaurant in Innumerable Green City. She had used tea to draw something on the table. She didn't expect him to know. Aren't you afraid that you've got the wrong person? She shrugged. This brat had always been meticulous. When I saw your image, I was a little uncertain. But when I heard that third Mo was with you, I was sure that it was you. Qin Mo was a little uncomfortable. She was back, but he was not the first person to acknowledge her. How did you know I was here? Are you also here to participate in this auction? She walked over and sat beside him, pouring him a cup of tea. When the people from Innumerable Azure City sent news of you, I was in seclusion. When I came out of seclusion and heard about you, I rushed over to Innumerable Azure City. However, you had already left. Later on, I was delayed by some matters. Then I received news that you were here. Qin Mo took a sip of tea and replied. Sima Yue knew that he would definitely come to meet her after hearing her news, but she did not expect him to be so anxious. Have you been well all these years? She asked. Not bad. Qin Mo did not go into detail about what had happened to him over the years, but Sima Yue could tell at a glance that he had not been living well. At the very least, he was not happy. Sima Yue felt sorry for him when she saw the cold air that he unconsciously emitted. It was very different from the person she used to know. She smiled and said, Do you know that I once indirectly killed someone in the underworld? She had the same name as you, but she was a woman. Qin Mo saw the smile in her eyes and knew that she was laughing at someone who had the same name as him. He unconsciously rolled his eyes at her like before. He knew the person she was talking about. She was a concubine in the Yilan continent. While he was in seclusion, his people had already found out about her past. However, the thought of a woman sharing the same name as him made him a little uncomfortable. But at that time, my soul was damaged and I couldn't remember what happened before I died. So at that time, I didn't know that you two had the same name. If I knew at that time, I might have spared her life. She teased. Qin Mo saw that she was making fun of him and reached out to flick her forehead. Are you done laughing? No. Sima Yue smiled. She only stopped when she saw Qin Mo's face turn black. Didn't you say that your personality is different from before? Why didn't I notice anything different? You're still the same as before. Qin Mo looked at her helplessly. Sima Yue's eyes flashed with sadness. I'm happy to see you old friends. Qin Mo kept looking at her and naturally saw the sadness in her eyes. He comforted her. These years I've controlled a lot of the clan's power. If you're willing, we can destroy the Zhongzheng clan and Yin Yang Palace anytime to avenge your family. Sima Yue shook her head and said, "It's not the time yet. The Sage Pavilion is above the Yin Yang Palace. If we destroy the Yin Yang Palace, the Sage Pavilion will definitely not sit by and do nothing. Feng'er and I are still not strong enough. We still have to plan for revenge. Also, in the next few years, I have to heal Feng'er's body. The last time I saw him, I also noticed that his body was a little strange. However, he didn't let my people check on him. In the end, it was left unsettled. What happened to him?" Sima Yue told him about Shimin Feng's situation. After hearing it, his beautiful eyebrows furrowed. "I'll get people to think of a way," Qin Mo said. "Okay." Sima Yue did not reject. It was related to Shimin Feng's life. Even if it was a favor, she was willing to owe it. Moreover, she owed it to him. "We want to go to the Heavenly Sect and try looking for the principal. Help me keep an eye out for him. With Feng'er's current situation, I don't dare to say that I'm sorry to trouble you. If you really say it, I'll be angry," Qin Mo said. "Okay." Sima Yue smiled and did not talk about it. "Your power has increased a lot these years. At least by 1 level. I had some good luck before, so I increased a lot," Qin Mo said. Dong dong dong, the knocking on the door interrupted their conversation. Sima Yue got up to open the door and saw Wu Lingyu standing outside. Without waiting for her to speak, he waved a list in his hand and said, "The Xianyuan Pavilion sent the list of auction items. I happened to be downstairs, so I brought it up." Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him in her heart. She turned sideways and invited him in, introducing, "This is my senior, Wu Lingyu, the holy son of the Sage Pavilion. This is Qin Mo, my good friend. The great young master of the Southern Desolation Qin clan. I've heard a lot about you." Wu Lingyu walked over and sat in the seat before Sima Yue. The Qin clan's Qin Mo was not a famous person in the past. Many people knew about him because he opened many gourmet restaurants. However, his reputation was only famous among those who loved to eat. But in the recent years, news of him had been spreading. From an idle young master, he gradually became a young master with real power in the Qin clan. His name spread throughout the Southern Desolation and even spread to other places. "I've heard of the Holy Sun's name for a long time. I've always wanted to see your elegance. I didn't expect to meet you here." Qin Mo glanced at Wu Lingyu. His eyes did not have the eagerness in his words. One was the famous Holy Sun of the Primordial Lands, while the other was the rising star of the Southern Desolation. The first time the two met, there was a faint smell of gunpowder. Sima Yue did not notice the subtle relationship between the two. At that moment, she was attracted by the items on the auction. "What good things have you taken a fancy to?" Wu Lingyu asked. Sima Yue nodded and pointed to a medicinal ingredient on the list. "In order to suppress the power in Feng'er's body, I need many medicinal ingredients. I have most of them, but there are some that I lack. This edge jade is one of the main ingredients that I lack." "Then we'll just bid for it when the time comes," Qin Mo said. "This thing only appears once in 10,000 years. I was worried about it before, but I didn't expect it to be here." Sima Yue said happily, "No matter what, I must bid for this thing." Chapter 510. Since she had taken a fancy to it, no matter what, they would bid for it for her. The two men thought at the same time. "See if there's anything else you want," Qin Mo reminded. "Yes." Sima Yue nodded and lowered her head to continue reading. Both of them did not look at the name list but stared at her. Seeing that her eyes were getting brighter, they knew that she had found something good. However, when she raised her head, her expression was somewhat solemn. "What's wrong?" Wu Lingyu asked. Sima Yue put down the list and said, "I found a few things that I need. However, there are a few types that are more troublesome." "What's the problem?" Qin Mo asked. "Isn't this auction supposed to be won by the highest bidder? As long as there was money, there was no need to worry about not being able to win the bid." Sima Yue pointed twice on the list and said, "These herbs are quite rare. I'm already surprised that so many of them have appeared this time. The first few are still okay, but the last two are being auctioned together. What's different is that they don't have a base price." Hearing her say this, the two of them looked over. Sure enough, they saw that the other items had a base price, but some of the items at the back didn't. This kind of list was only available to those who were highly valued by the Shenyuan Pavilion. Others only had the name of the auction item, but they had the introduction and the base price. Usually, when they saw something they needed, they would use the base price to estimate the transaction price and then prepare their own money. No one knew the extent of the Xianyuan Pavilion's influence because it had spread across almost the entire world. The lower continents, the outer and middle regions of the primordial lands, and some guessed that the inner regions should have its influence as well. Because they didn't know their trump cards, everyone respected this faction in their hearts. No one dared to provoke them. Therefore, everyone knew the rules of the Xianyuan Pavilion, especially for auctions. They had to settle the bill on the same night and could not lie about the price. Once they were discovered, they would be blacklisted by the Xianyuan Pavilion. The list in Sima Yue's hands was specially sent over by Junlan and the rest. There was a minimum price. However, there was no price tag on it, which made it more troublesome. Based on the previous auctions, some sellers would request an exchange of items. If they don't offer something satisfactory, the other party wouldn't be willing to make the exchange, Chinemo said. Faced with such a situation, no one could do anything. They didn't know what the other party wanted, so they could only wait and see. After that, Sima Yue roughly calculated the base price of the items that she had her eyes on. She estimated that if she were to bid for these items, she would have to pay a sky-high price. She sighed. Yes, she had spent the crystals that she had mined from the Spirit Pagoda. She had also taken revenge from the Zhuo family. The Heavenly Tiger Hall and the innumerable Green Palace had given her some treasures as compensation, but there were no crystals. Seeing her frown, Wu Lingyu said, "What the Divine Devil Valley doesn't lack the most is crystal stones. You're a junior valley master after all. Why are you still worrying about crystals?" Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him. "I've never gone back. What does the Divine Devil Valley's money have to do with me?" "You're silly. Our Divine Devil Valley has many external businesses too." Wu Lingyu couldn't help but knock her on the forehead. Sima Yue covered her forehead and was stunned. She then remembered that the people in the Divine Devil Valley were all elites in various industries. Usually they would sell alchemy, armament and engraving arrays. Those who were in charge of these things were called external businesses. The Divine Devil Valley was a power that could almost rival the Sage Pavilion. There was no need to talk about its power. The external businesses naturally didn't need to be mentioned. It would definitely shock her. Sima Yue was happy for a moment, but she calmed down and said, "After all, these are the shared assets of the Divine Devil Valley. How can I touch everyone's assets for my own personal matters? Memory Restaurant was originally opened for you. It doesn't belong to the Qin family. We've earned quite a bit of money from the dishes that you've taught us. Those are all yours," Chinemo said. Sima Yue still felt that it wasn't right. She felt that she had to have money first. After thinking about it, she could only sell some things herself. It was a good thing that she didn't lack these things. Since she wanted to do it, she did it. She chased the two of them out and went to the Spirit Pagoda herself. She picked a few that she liked and went to the Xianyuan Pavilion early in the morning the next day. Although it was her first time here, after she said that she was looking for Junlan, she was welcomed to the backyard. After waiting for about an hour, she saw Junlan rushing over. Behind her were a few guards who weren't weak. It seemed that the previous incident had made her more concerned about her own safety. She smiled as she entered. When she saw Sima Yue, she said apologetically, "I'm really sorry. I was just discussing the auction with a few managers. I'm really sorry for making you wait for so long." Sima Yue was talking to Shimin Feng. When they saw her enter, they stood up and cupped their hands, saying, "You're so busy, but you still took the time to come and see us. I'm already very grateful." Shimin Feng also cupped his hands towards Junlan, saying, "Yue said before that she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to see you today." In front of others, he also called her Yue. He only called her sister when they were close. How could that be? "I've already instructed that as long as you guys come, you must inform me. Have a seat." Junlan walked over and said. Sima Yue and Shimin Feng sat down, saying, "Since you're so pressed for time, I won't beat around the bush. Just tell me why I'm looking for you today." "On the way here, I guess that you must have come here for something." Junlan said, "Is there anything I can help you with?" "It's like this. I took a look at the name list that you had someone send over yesterday. There are a few medicinal ingredients that I urgently need." Sima Yue said, "Those medicinal ingredients aren't cheap, so I'm guessing that if I want to bid for them, I'll need a lot of money." So, if it was an ordinary person, Junlan would probably just ask someone to give her a portion of the crystals. But after interacting with her for a few days, she had some understanding of her character, so she waited for her to continue. "I haven't been here for long, so I don't have many crystals on me. So I was wondering if you could let me insert some items for the auction?" Sima Yue said a little embarrassedly. "That's not a problem." Junlan agreed. At times like this, the level of the items to be inserted can't be too low. But I believe that this won't be too difficult for you. You should have brought the items, right? Sima Yue took out the items that she had prepared last night and showed them to Junlan. Junlan looked at those items, then asked about the medicinal ingredients that Sima Yue had her eyes on. After taking a look, she said, "These are all pretty good, but they aren't particularly outstanding in this auction. If you're in urgent need of money, I have an idea. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."